Hello, Braden Herrington here with John Siino Evil for upNXT on postwrestling.com, and we are live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Mr. Siino Evil, what up, though?
What up, though, on this upNXT Poisonrana? So many names, so many different shows. I feel like this is like a giant conglomerate here in the post-wrestling universe / Poisonrana delegation, I guess you can say. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, man, on this Tuesday night talking NXT.
All about NXT on a Tuesday night. That's what we do. Siino, you are one of our NXT friends, not only friends, family members, executive producers. And it's a rainy day here in Toronto, not because the Leafs just lost 4-2 in the first game of the second round of the playoffs, which they have not, made it to. But it's a rainy day, and there was people outside watching the game on the big screen, even though it was in Florida, while a bunch of Florida people were watching it, not really caring. So it's just funny how the world works. But we chose to watch the real playoffs, the real sports here, which is NXT wrestling. And yes, we're going to jump into it and dive all into it. Davie just wanted the night off because he loves the Leafs so much.
Is that what he did? Did he want to go to watch the game, or did he just make plans, I guess, for tonight?
No, he was like, hey, can I just get a Tuesday off? I was like, of course you can, buddy. WrestleMania season's come and gone. And I feel like we need a few breaks in there in between to make ourselves a little sane. I will say he missed a hell of an episode. I missed a hell of a week to disappear because some big things going on in NXT.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we had the draft starting on SmackDown, going into Raw. There was 16 people got drafted, not counting the 2 free agents. So that's 18 people that are, I guess, leaving NXT one way or another. That's a lot of people to leave at the same time. I mean, I could go back and check, but I don't think there's been that many call-ups. Like, there's a lot of tag teams, obviously, but 16 to 18 people, that's a big chunk to take out of NXT.
We're going to have to pour a lot out tonight. Not pour one out, but
take a whole bottle, maybe 2 bottles for this one.
Yeah. Well, we'll discuss the draft. We'll discuss everything that goes on in this show here tonight, and possibly where some of the NXT stars end up. As Frank's in the chat with the frog emojis, but also Surin in the chat asking, when will Siino get a night off? That's the real question. And you know what? I bring that up because you might be getting a night off more regularly now that it seems TK is just cutting your shows left and right.
Yeah, shot in the blank, I guess. Mondays, I guess, was confirmed last week. Elevation was gone with the final episode. And then today, I'm just like, okay, I'm looking at the taping schedule. I'm like, just a couple matches that can still air from Universal Studios. No tweet from AEW, no YouTube link. I'm like, I guess AEW Dark is gone too. So yeah, Monday nights and Tuesday nights, for the time being, belong to WWE with Raw and NXT. But I am actually getting a rare Saturday off. I usually cover the WWE pay-per-views, but Mr. John Pollock was like, no, it's okay. We got Backlash covered, so I could actually relax and watch the show in Puerto Rico. I might even watch it in my VR. I've been really wanting to watch wrestling on a VR headset, and they have the Peacock app on there. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll watch Backlash in Puerto Rico in VR and pretend like I'm in Puerto Rico.
Wow, that would be pretty sweet. Just have you can't get like 40 because it doesn't have like a breeze or like smell quite yet. But
there's like people next to you, and you can actually hear them talk, and then you can have like virtual popcorn and virtual drinks. It's a little weird, but you can actually do it. It actually feels kind of cool to like be like in a theater environment with everybody else.
Wow. I'm not on that VR train, but I've heard you discuss it. It sounds pretty fun. Well, Shot in the Dark won't go anywhere. Maybe it will become Shot in the Honor, Shot in the Park if WH wants the gig. I don't know what will come of it, but you still cover all the other wrestling. I will let people know you should follow Poisonrana on on your podcast apps and on YouTube and everything. But Siino, you do this 15 minutes or less Shot in the Dark show where you watch all the other wrestling. A lot of people usually don't check out or might not check out, and you kind of fill them in on the results and like who's to watch and stuff like that. It's such a great show, and I hope it doesn't go anywhere, even if Elevation and possibly Dark are off the table, but we'll still have you in our roster.
It's okay, because you know what? Somebody has to talk about AEW Rampage, right? If everybody else doesn't want to talk about it, I think I'm going to have to start talking about Rampage.
Who do you think I am? You think I would be so mean to relegate you to that? No, No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to a friend to make you watch Rampage every week. No, please don't be silly. Well, maybe a lot of people will be watching Rampage because Wembley sold out. Well, not sold out, but it might sell out. It's on its way to selling out with the pre-sale earlier this morning. I know Davie was up early trying to get some tickets. He was unsuccessful, but I know a lot of people across the pond were waking up, were probably at a normal time for them, and look like the demand is pretty high for AEW.
I mean, I'm sure these are people that have been waiting since AEW launch. You know, they've been saving up their money. They've been trying to get the tickets. And the good thing about this is they all have like personal codes. So it's like you can't say bots bought tickets. It's actual. It has to be legit people, right? Everybody has their own personal code. So yeah, they were like 35,000 tickets sold on the pre-sale alone the first day. That's crazy. Like a 4 point. What was like the gate? It was like the second biggest gate ever in England or something along those lines. Like it's crazy numbers. And this is pre-sale. We didn't even get to the full allowment of the C chart yet. So this is great for AEW and great for everybody in the UK.
Yeah, it's still like only half of it is sold, and Meltzer reporting today that the gate today was just 4.7 million, which is like pretty crazy considering Clash at the Castle just did 8.1 million.
Wow.
So that still is a tough one to beat, right? Like that's pretty huge. But I mean, 4 point something, like half the arena. Maybe they'll challenge that, they'll rival that, and I wish them the best. And pretty crazy. I know that's what everyone was trying to get tickets to, especially people over there. So good luck, or I hope you got tickets, or whatever it goes, and possibly see you people there. But I'm trying to think of some other things that's going on in the world of wrestling. What's going on? Obviously the draft, which we'll definitely jump into NXT. Yep. But what else? What's going on?
There's been controversy with the Britt Baker t-shirt. I've been seeing that the last couple of days. Like the whole thing is ridiculous. Have you heard about this whole like controversy with her shirt and this and that?
Well, after watching tonight's NXT, when's the Jayne t-shirt coming out?
Yeah, right. I even saw Kylan King had a shiner from the debuting Trinity from Impact, and she put a picture up. But yeah, basically like she got a black eye, and then the Outcasts were wearing the shirts on Rampage, and they put it on AEWshop.com, and then or shopaew.com, and then people started complaining, saying, "Oh, this promotes domestic violence," like ridiculous stuff, obviously. And I think they pulled the shirt because of that. And I'm just like, this is like ridiculous. Like, I can understand, okay, maybe somebody who sees this shirt on the outside and doesn't know anything about Britt Baker or wrestling might like perceive it away. Like, if I could change one thing, I'd maybe put like a tagline or something on the shirt, just so it's not just like this woman with like a sad face, you know what I mean? Maybe put something on it, like Britt's, like her name or something. But it's obviously ridiculous. People are just trying to find everything to like, whenever there's something good going on in wrestling, no matter if it's WWE or AEW, people always want to like take it down by just critiquing like the most ridiculous thing, and this is one of them.
Yeah, is any other form of TV or entertainment like ridiculed and just like debated and argued and torn apart like wrestling quite is? Like anyone who watches certain TV shows, whether it's reality shows, movies, or like even sports, like people get really into it. Like people fight each other physically at games when they're too drunk over opposing teams, where you don't see that in wrestling too much, right? So I do find wrestling fans can just get a bit too much. That being said, I would not wear that t-shirt in a grocery store or something. Like I understand what it is, but you're right. Maybe if it had something underneath it.
Yeah, just some sort of like font or something just different to make it stand out. I know you brought up like reality. The one show I kind of stopped watching was AEW All Access because it wasn't really like my thing. Like it just, I don't know, it feels a little bit more like Total Divas. But I will tell you a good reality show that I watched this weekend, and that is Stone Cold Takes on America. Like I didn't even know this show was a thing. Like I saw a poster for it. It's just like Stone Cold with like shades on and a backpack. I'm like, what is this about? And I watched the first episode, and it's like, the premise is literally like Stone Cold's been wrestling his whole career and he missed out on all this stuff. So he like sent out a tweet and it was like, if you guys want me to do stuff, like give me some ideas. So in the first episode, he's like bowling in a senior citizens league. He's learning how to be a trick bartender artist. He's like, has a sand buggy going up like a sand mountain. Like it's amazing. I'm just like, this is great. And like whatever he does, like everybody loves it. Like no matter what, if he messes up, like they're still going to cheer him on. And of course, being Stone Cold, he's like getting competitive like during this like senior citizens bowling league. Like it's a great show, honestly. If you want a good like 40-minute watch every week, definitely recommend this. I think it's part of like the A&E WWE Sunday Night Block or whatever they call it. I don't watch like Rivals. I don't even watch whatever show they had before that. But Most Wanted Treasures, I don't watch that either. But I'll definitely watch the Stone Cold Takes on America.
Yeah, I saw the ads for it tonight during NXT. I was watching the USA Network feed, and they were hitting me over the head with those ads. It does look pretty funny when it's like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stone Cold Tom Cruise cocktail when he's got the bottles. He's Flair bartending. I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. I think that guy's just really likable.
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
in any of his interviews and stuff as well. So yeah, that might be. I'd totally pick that show over the AEW Access show the way it's going. So that looks like a lot more fun.
If you could tweet something to Steve Austin to do, like a regular man's job to anybody, what would you want to see Steve Austin do on like the next episode of Stone Cold Takes on America?
I want to see Stone Cold working at a Cold Stone Creamery. I want to see Stone Cold like brewing beer. I want to see him learning how it's made. I need to see him like a Laverne and Shirley intro, but like Stone Cold, like at the factory with the bottles of beer. And
I don't want to spoil it too much, but I'm pretty sure in the trailer for the season they show him working like drive-through at like a Burger King or something. I don't know if it's Burger King, but it's something along those lines. So we're definitely going to see him like working with food in one way or another. So I think that will be fun.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see him doing like the what you wouldn't expect Stone Cold to do would be the funniest, right? So anything that's not the most manliest thing, like him and I still love him and Undertaker talking about wine. Mm-hmm. That's still my favorite bit. So more of that, really.
Yeah,
but I'm happy.
Show him like making his own wine or something. Like, there's a lot of fun you could have with him.
I'm happy you're enjoying Stone Cold's. Stone Cold, what's it called?
Stone Cold Takes on America. I feel like
of course it is.
Steve Austin like owes me a thank you for promoting this show. Like everybody I talk to, I'm talking about. I texted my brother. My brother doesn't even watch wrestling, but he loves anything Stone Cold does. I'm like, dude, you need to watch this show. He texted me 30 minutes later. He's like, this is the greatest show ever. I'm like, I know, it's Steve Austin. What do you expect?
Right. Well, I can't wait to watch it. I know me and you have been talking on and off air about the Mario Brothers movie that just came out, which just like broke 1 billion, biggest animated movie of all time. I know you've seen it a few times because your son's a huge fan of that, and you were just at Mario World.
Yep.
And this is the cheap plug for people to listen to. You joined me and Davie for our 93 Mario Brothers review, which I think a lot of people since the new one came out are going up and looking up and digging out. So if you're one of those people, go watch that and then check out our review. But Mario Fever.
It's crazy. Mario's been number one for like 5 weeks. Chris Pratt movie, and the only thing that's going to probably take it out from the number one spot is another Chris Pratt movie with Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's doing pretty well this year.
Right. Oh yeah, that's coming out soon.
That comes out this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to admit I'm behind on the Marvel stuff, but this one's definitely something I think I will check out just because I have enjoyed the first two, and I've obviously enjoyed when they were in the Avenger movies and stuff like that.
Plus, it's the last movie for James Gunn, the last hurrah him with Marvel before he goes over to DC land. So
wow,
people are already speculating like people getting killed. Oh, I've been staying away from any sort of spoilers, but people were expecting like somebody to die. It was going to be the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I think Batista said he's not coming back already. He's probably going to go and be like, I don't know, Lobo in DC. I don't know who he's going to play over there, but I'm pretty sure that he's probably going to want to.
Is that who would you cast?
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Batista is Lobo. That's such a like not popular character. Like he could be the Thing in Marvel. Like oh wait, you can't. That's Marvel still. Never mind.
I thought I heard like Jason Momoa was going to be Lobo, and I'm like, he just played Aquaman. It's weird to like go from one role to another, but I'm sure there's probably some role out there for Batista I'm not thinking of. That'll be perfect.
There's some big roles out there for Batista for sure. Still my favorite wrestler turned actor. And to go back on Batista, to also go back and plugging a Patreon that we do tomorrow, me and Davie are reviewing an old pay-per-view from 2005 featuring Batista. This is going back before he even used Saliva as his theme song in an elimination chamber. New Year's Revolution 2005. It's the last time WWE was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. They're back there this Saturday. So me and Davie are reviewing this show all the way back from 2005 out on the Patreon this week featuring Batista, who I watched this show today. I was like, oh man, you become like a great actor and just a hilarious dude in all your movies. I love you so much. And your wrestling was fine, but man, Batista, you go on to have a pretty sweet career. So that is great. Oh, Muhammad Hassan. I watched some Muhammad Hassan today, and I am so excited to talk about it this week on the Patreon as well. But patreon.com/Poisonrana, guys, go check that out. I know Davey's going to have another episode of The Sesh coming out this week where he's looking at Succession. They're going through season 4. It's almost over. Only a few weeks left. So if you're a fan of Succession, definitely look up that show as well. What did we do last week? We did a review of The Mandalorian season 3. That was a
Yep.
lot of fun. I might put up that on our Poisonrana free feed as well for you Mando fans, just because I feel like being nice. So maybe sometime next week as well. But that's my plugs for the Patreon. But you should follow Poisonrana because you, Siino, just did a What Up Doe with B Detroit where you were talking about VR and you guys did your own WWE draft, which was awesome. But then you also asked me and the listeners, who's got the bigger career? Who's got the more impactful career? Bob Marley or Michael Jackson? And I've been a wreck all week since listening to you say that and ask me that. So I have to plug that show. That's my new favorite show.
Yeah, that's a question. Like, it was more like, obviously Michael Jackson's more successful. I feel like more people know him, but I feel like Bob Marley is like the type of artist that, like, you can't find somebody who doesn't like his music, except for maybe Chris Leone. He's the only person I heard that doesn't like Bob Marley for some reason. But like, I feel like he's just the type of artist that no matter what mood you're in, like, you just can appreciate it. That's just how I feel. And it's like just a question we kind of threw out there. You know, we'll have little like debates on like different music artists and whatnot, and that's just one of them that popped in my head. But yeah, the draft was a lot of fun. A lot of things that came to fruition. Like I was like, when I drafted Imperium to Raw, I'm like, Samantha Irvin has to come with them because she has like the best ring introduction ever. And then she started doing it for Chelsea Green, where she goes like, Chelsea Green. I'm like, okay, now Chelsea Green's on Raw. Samantha Irvin needs to go to Raw. And today I woke up and I saw the news that she got traded with Mike Rome. So Samantha Irvin is on Raw. So all is well. If that didn't happen, the entire draft would have been ruined. But yeah, a lot of things that we talked about on our mock draft came true. We had a little fun at the end. We threw in some AW people, some indie talent. I don't want to spoil all their names, but definitely take a listen. It was a pretty cool draft. And let us know in the Poisonrana Facebook group or on Twitter. Just let us know who you think has the better show from me and B.
Yes, I love your podcast with B so far. What Up Doe has been my favorite thing to listen to. You guys are always just like kicking it and joking around, and it's not just all about wrestling either. A lot of hip hop and TV and movies and stuff like that. So I kind of find out stuff to watch from you guys, keeping what's going on, whether it's TV and movies and stuff as well. So been loving that show. Also, Poisonrana dropped on Sunday with me and Davie chatting everything in wrestling. CM Punk at Raw, at Impact, Trinity at Impact. Everything going on in the world of wrestling. So that was a lot of fun. Always Dynamite Chat is on that show as well. So Poisonrana, go find us in your podcast app. And I swear this is the last plug, but it's a doozy. It's a big one because Wednesday night this week on this very feed, Rewind a Dynamite, John, Way, Davie, and myself have an announcement that is going to shake the foundations of post wrestling and Poisonrana to its very core. And it's so big, we're thinking of getting Adam Cole to introduce the big news, the announcement. It's so big that I won't blink during the whole time. But me and Davey are going to join John Way tomorrow night for a big, huge announcement. Huge. Don't miss it. Be there or be somewhere else.
I'll be tuning in. I don't know what the announcement is. I'll be in surprise for it as well. The only thing I'll say is I'm declaring myself a free agent so I can appear on both Post Wrestling and on Poisonrana. I'm not signing anywhere. Yeah. So that's the only thing I'll say about it. But I'll definitely be tuning in tomorrow and see what this huge announcement is from the Post Poisonrana.
It's going to shake the foundations. Is that what they say? They say that a lot. Yeah,
sure.
Big announcements. So can't wait for that and for you guys to tune into that. So me and Davey will be joining John Away on Rewind a Dynamite just in the beginning to talk a little bit about some things that are thangin'. But I guess we can jump into some NXT. I did see some news though. Is this legit, Siino? You're usually on top of the ball more than me. Is Alicia Fox done with WWE?
What is she? Didn't she leave like 5 years ago?
Yeah,
like, I don't understand.
I thought she left years ago, but
I saw
now
that too, and I'm like, what do they mean by that? Did she have some sort of Legends contract, and maybe that ended? Because that's the only thing I can think of. But sure, I guess she's gone.
I don't know. I saw that like so many people were posting that, and I was like, I don't understand what like.
So this entire time she was under contract and she was getting paid, and she hasn't wrestled in probably. I mean, she did a couple of Royal Rumble spots, I want to say, but she hasn't been like full-time wrestling in a couple of years, I want to say.
She says that she's a free agent, so she can work somewhere else now if she wants. But Alicia Fox, just one of the all-time greats. So never forget Alicia Fox versus Melina.
last time she was on a full-time schedule was in April of 2019. So I'm not sure exactly what happened, but yeah, I guess she's a free agent. So who knows where Alicia Fox is gonna show up? Listen to Shot in the Dark. I'll let you know.
Yeah,
which
let
of
me
these
know.
shows Alicia
Get
Fox
to the bottom
will
of
show
it.
up on.
Yeah, what does the fox say? Well, I saw that. I wasn't sure either, but I guess maybe she'll show up somewhere else. That could be pretty fun. I always love Alicia Fox.
Noam Dar shows up and Alicia Fox leaves. Like, come
oh,
on.
yeah, I didn't even think of that. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, too bad. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some NXT from May 2nd, 2023. But I do want to talk about the draft. It's feeling a little drafty in here. Draft day or draft 2 days was the past week on Monday night. Raw was the second night, and then SmackDown a few days earlier being the first night. And like you said off the top, Siino, 18 NXT call-ups going to the main roster. So we are pouring one out here. I don't remember who is going who, but I'm going to name these people. Grayson Waller.
SmackDown.
He's going to SmackDown.
Yep.
Apollo Crews.
Raw.
JD McDonagh.
Raw. Most of these people are on Raw.
Pretty Deadly.
SmackDown.
Cameron Grimes.
SmackDown.
Indy Hartwell.
Raw.
Zoe Stark.
Raw.
Kayden and Katana.
Raw.
Fyre and Dawn.
SmackDown.
Odyssey Jones.
Raw.
Indus Shear.
With Jinder Mahal to Raw.
Von Wagner.
Free agents.
And this can't be right. Zion Quinn.
Yeah. What's his catchphrase? Go straight.
Run it straight.
Run it straight.
Yeah, go straight.
Go straight to free agency because he didn't get drafted. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. But yeah, I guess they're off of NXT, but they just haven't committed. They're in the same boat as Brock Lesnar, Omos, who else? Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, Baron Corbin. These are all free agents. So I have no idea if they're going to show up on Level Up, on Raw, on SmackDown, on Main Event. Who knows? They're not committing themselves anywhere. So.
But wow, what is to come of the NXT locker room with 18 people taken away from our roster? This is, cue the sad music, but we'll miss all these people. I'll quickly give some thoughts here. Grayson Waller, I mean, obviously he has been someone who's picked it up in the last year for sure with like not only the wrestling, but the character work and everything. And he just makes total sense. And I think he will shine wherever he lands. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, he's going to be great. I think it was B actually brought up the idea of having more talk shows and wrestling, so I'm definitely going to see the Grayson Waller effect on SmackDown because you already have the Miz on Raw, right? So you could have Waller could be the SmackDown guy. You have Austin Theory on SmackDown as well, so I feel like Theory and Waller can maybe like team up. I feel like they'd be a pretty good pairing. But yeah, Waller I think is in pretty good hands on the SmackDown side for sure.
Apollo Crews.
Yeah, so I mean, he's going back to Raw. One name I was surprised, Dijak. You thought like he would have got called up, but no, just Apollo. So yeah, he's going to be going back to Raw. I don't know if he's going to be keeping this future predictor gimmick, whatever he's doing, or he's just going to go back to being just no gimmick Apollo. Who knows what's he going to do? But he definitely needs some sort of character or something on Raw because he can't just be the guy that likes to wrestle. Like he needs some.
So you want the fortune teller, That's So Raven?
No, not necessarily, but maybe like put him in. You know what? Tozawa's on there. Him and Tozawa used to be a great tag team back on the Dragon Gator. I want to say like they're really close friends. Put him as a tag team. Why not? Do something different.
What about JD McDonagh? We saw him wrestle tonight. We're going to talk about him. He had a great match tonight.
Yeah, JD McDonagh, he's going to be on Raw with Finn Balor. I know him and Finn are really close. He still needs to get revenge on Kevin Owens for making that dig at him when he showed up on NXT a couple months back.
What was it? Yeah, don't Google me.
Don't Google me. So,
right, yeah.
And then he's going to be on the same brand as Imperium, so you could have those matches with any of those guys, obviously with Gunther. Congratulations to Gunther, by the way. Gunther and NXT UK alumni Ginny getting married over the weekend, and you see Gunther smiling, he's dancing, he's laughing. I'm like, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, good for him.
Yeah, I thought I saw Gunther was at the Met Gala, but that was Pedro Pascal. So he was wearing his jacket. He borrowed it. But yeah, Gunther getting married there. JD and Gunther have had some history in the past in some indie wrestling shows that have been just awesome. Obviously, JD with the ties with Finn Balor as well.
Yep.
Maybe JD fits in with the whole Judgment Day or something. He's kind of creepy lately with his gimmick of just being a psycho, American Psycho type thing. The wrestling speaks for itself, and I think this guy's great. I know people will make fun of his big head, but that's just the way it goes. Pretty Deadly. Obviously,
they're alive.
Yeah, they're alive. They somehow made it. They swam across. Well, actually, they were just in the crowd of NXT. But yeah, Pretty Deadly are alive and well. So therefore, there wasn't a murder. Stax is off the hook. Um, Pretty Deadly will be fine. Like they're really funny, and their characters have been getting over. And I think the feud with the New Day with Coffey and Xavier really brought the best out of them, and I could see more of that on the main roster. Their wrestling kind of bugged me, but their characters made me laugh, so I'll definitely give them a pass. Then I got really excited about this one, Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about this is when they showed the graphic to start this episode of NXT, they showed everybody except Cameron Grimes. So I guess, like, was he already, like, officially off of NXT? Because, like, he just disappeared for a couple months, and who knows what happened. I kind of got worried. I thought he's going to pull a Roderick Strong, and next thing you know, Trevor Lee is running out to help, the firm or whatever. Yeah, something. Yeah. That wouldn't be perfect sense to have him show up at the Hardy compound, right? But, yeah, I was just very happy to see him. Very intrigued. I mean, he's on SmackDown, so I think that's a good show for him. But is he going to keep, like, the same, like, stock gimmick that he had, or the take me to the moon, whatever? I'm intrigued. I mean, he could obviously go, but I'm really intrigued what they're going to do with him character wise. I would probably like run a bunch of vignettes and just kind of like build him up a little bit, give a little bit more like character behind him before he debuts on TV.
Yeah, it's like, do you go with him being rich as the storyline? Do you put him with the Bullet Club? As I was been saying, like, the dude is awesome. I followed him for a long time before NXT, and he always shined everywhere he went. So been following him and kind of really happy to see him given this opportunity, given this chance. Not just him, a lot of these people as well, like your Indy Hartwells, right? Yep. Like same thing, right? Like obviously with the injury, and we'll talk about her at the end of this show on NXT. She'll be sidelined for a little bit, but that's okay. We'll know she'll have somewhere to go when she does land on her feet. But like, there's a bunch of dream matches when she does come back. When I think she still is someone who needs to be built up, and I think winning the title and then losing it so quickly with this injury is a bit of a shame. But I think there's only still we're just kind of scratching the surface with her. But going back to Grimes, is there any like matches? Because I'm saying he should team with the OC and the Bullet Club guys, but like dream match wise, like there's a few different matches I've wanted to see for a while. Like any of the high flying guys, whether it's like your Rey Mysterios or I'm trying to think like Ricochet, even like there's got to be some big matches in there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the SmackDown roster, and you have the OC, so you have AJ Styles there, so you can definitely do that. You have the LWO, so you could have, a camera with any of these guys, Santos, Rey Mysterio, obviously. I feel like they might be doing something with him and JBL. I feel like they could definitely do something there and maybe like feud with Baron Corbin, because you never really got like that like ending. I kind of joked with you that Baron Corbin was a free agent, so he's going to sign with NXT just to ruin your Tuesday nights. But there's definitely a lot of people that Cameron Grimes could feud with. You got the Brawling Brutes are down there. I'm really hoping Butch kind of goes back to being Pete Dunne, because then you have these like SmackDown with this. You can bring back to SmackDown 6, right? You got Grayson Waller, you got Cameron Grimes, you could have Pete Dunne down there, Santos Escobar. SmackDown definitely, I think, is my favorite out of the roster. A lot of good guys on Raw, obviously, as well, but SmackDown's always been like my show, I feel like.
Yeah. Zoe Stark, someone in NXT who we thought was behind all the attacks, which there seems to be more of.
Yeah.
But she's definitely like in ring is up there with a lot of the big talent. And I think she'll be able to shine with some kind of fresh opponents and maybe given a bigger opportunity. The same with Chance and Carter, right? Like they've been the only team in NXT for years until just recently. And now they're given an opportunity to kind of do the same thing, but on the main roster. And I think they could turn some heads and get some people oohing and awing, because they do a lot of cool high flying stuff.
I can honestly see like an Odyssey Jones getting really over on Raw, because he definitely has a lot of charisma. I can see possibly the crowd getting behind him pretty quick, especially if he like just squashes through like a lot of this enhancement talent for the first couple of weeks to kind of build up Odyssey Jones as like this big threat, but also have him like just be like this real fun character as well. I can definitely see him getting over. But yeah, a lot of the women got sent over to Raw, except the Dawn and Fyre. Pretty much everybody else that got called up from NXT woman wise went straight to Raw. So that roster's stacked. I'm not sure what's going to happen with the women's tag team titles for both NXT and Raw and SmackDown, because you got the NXT tag champs are on SmackDown, and the Raw / whatever, I guess the Universal, whatever you want to call it, the double brand WWE tag team titles, women's titles, are on Raw now. So not too sure what's going to happen with the title situation, but I'm sure will probably easily be resolved in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah. And then, like we mentioned all the other ones, but like a Von Wagner, he's still got a story arc, I guess, to finish, because we will be talking about most of these names from this. Zion Quinn, though, he's one where I'm like, man, you have done nothing in NXT. Like, you look badass, you're jacked, you're the former rugby player, so run it straight. But that's all he's got, and he's not done anything.
Maybe that was Sean's like I guess that's his reasoning. Like, we don't know what to do with you. Let's give you to the main roster and see if they know what to do with you instead. Is there anybody you're surprised that didn't called up? I mean, some names, obviously, like Braun Breaker, Roxanne Perez, Ilya Dragunov, I can see. There's definitely some names that I'm surprised didn't get the call up.
Yeah, you named it. The Dragunov, definitely, like, he runs circles around most of the guys on the main roster when it comes to slapping people up. He could probably fight any of those dudes and make them look pretty weak. Trying to think of who else. Yeah, Braun, obviously. A lot of champions being called up, which is weird. And then Mello is just sitting there like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll just chill here. But like, I'm happy because we still need stars on this show. But they didn't necessarily take some of the bigger stars, really, I found. But yeah, still a lot of people going up onto the main roster. And I wish all of them the best. But we're pouring them out as we somewhat lose them. It sounds like we still will see them for the next few weeks.
Yeah,
the next like cycle or two that they'll phase them out, like, slowly but surely, because I got that vibe on tonight's episode of NXT, which we're going to jump into right now from May 2nd, 2023. And we start off with one of two championship matches tonight. First being the North American Championship on the line. The champ, Wesley, taking on Drew Gulak. So the storyline here is Wes just wants to fight everyone. He needs to prove himself as the best champ. So he's been having one-on-ones, open challenges, 5-ways, you name it. And lately he's been tangling with Drew and his Regal Jr., and that match was pretty great. But here it's now Drew taking on Wes. Right at the bell, Wes just runs at Gulak with the running shotgun dropkick. There's a great back and forth. Drew getting some technical wrestling in, as well as Wes, but who's a lot faster than Drew. There's a huge lariat off the top rope from Gulak, which was pretty impressive, sending Wes inside out for a near fall. Gulak is now trying all these different strikes. Wes comes back with strikes of his own, including these like palm strikes, gets him to the outside and hits a tope when Dempsey, Regal Jr., is there trying to get involved. And that's when Tyler Bate gets involved. He said he would have his back last week, and he kind of stops him and fights him off, which allows Wes and Drew to get back in the ring, and the cardiac kick connects, and Wes retains the North American Championship. What'd you think?
I mean, this match went a little bit over 5 minutes, but they did a lot for 5 minutes. Obviously, I want them to get a little bit more time if they ever have a rematch. But I really enjoyed this match. Not my favorite match of the show. We'll definitely get into what that is later on. But yeah, the whole match, I'm like just waiting for like Tyler Bate to do something, because the way he was talking the last couple of weeks with Wesley, you could just tell like he's just setting up for like a turn. But no, he actually did help him out. He did help Charlie Dempsey something, and maybe he just wants to keep the title on Wesley so he can like take it off of him himself. I'm not sure if we're gonna get that at Battleground or so, but I could definitely see Wesley. We got to get the tag team match first, right? We got to get Wesley and Tyler Bate versus Gulak and Dempsey, and then we maybe either get a fatal 4-way or a one-on-one match between Wes and Bate. I wouldn't mind the fatal 4-way match, honestly, with these four. That'd be a pretty cool match.
Yeah, I mean, the way I'm thinking, maybe we get Tyler Bate versus Wes one-on-one at Battleground, which would be pretty cool. So I'm liking Drew Gulak with Charlie Dempsey. Charlie definitely showed up last week and can prove that. Like, yeah, he's got his daddy's genes. The wrestling's in the blood here. But I think some people were expecting some sort of a heel turn almost. Like afterwards, it's Bate kind of looking at Wes like, hey, nice title, classic kind of thing. So we will get that match. And I do think Battleground would be the big thing. Why didn't Tyler Bate get called up? Dude's been wrestling in WWE developmental since he was 19. He's like 26 now or something like that. Like, what's going on?
I'm guessing like, Sean had some storylines he wanted to finish, and this being one of them with the whole Bate was. Doesn't mean we can't see Bate get called up. I can even see like a Braun Breaker get called up, maybe possibly after his match with Battleground. So I'm just guessing it's just some of these storylines are just waiting to play it out, and obviously there's something behind this whole Wesley Tyler Bate thing. But yeah, I could see him eventually getting the call up. If they have like a second draft or something along the line. Usually when around the Rumble, there's some surprises. I could definitely see him around that time possibly.
Yeah. I guess like I just don't. They don't know what to do with certain people, or they don't think certain people will get over. I don't know what it is. Like, this guy's a great wrestler. He's just been farting around in NXT for far too long now.
Yeah.
Like, the fact he's a Russell Brand type hippie kind of thing is like, okay. We get a recap of, well, actually, to go back to the match, I thought it was good. Like you said, it was really quick and a good opener. I love Drew Gulak. I've been really getting into Wesley. I love his entrance where the title's like lit up in the dark and then his hand comes over and like grabs it.
Is that the first time he's done that, or he's done like variants of it? But that was pretty cool.
Feel like, the show. Yeah. I don't know what it reminded me of, like Ninja Turtles or something. I don't know, because like the way it was like darkness and then like just there and like the hand comes out. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's he going to do when he doesn't have the title, though?
I know, right? I was going to say, when the show started like that, I'm like, oh, there's one of those shows where like all the titles get vacated or something, because they kind of had this like dark spotlight on the North American title. I'm like, what's happening tonight? But yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. And I guess, once he loses the title, like, there goes his entrance, I guess. His
entrance is just his hand doing the penta thing, I guess, is what it looked like. I thought it was good. I definitely think there would be a lot more in there if these two got a bigger stage to do it. But I'm liking this feud. I think we do go to the tag match next week. We get a recap of Braun Breaker spearing Carmelo Hayes and really turning heel for sure. Breaking Bad is Braun Breaker as he speared Carmelo through there, and kind of telling us that Carmelo is not here tonight because he's still recovering from this spear. We see a video from Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre, and they're cooking up some spells, conjuring up some potions, and they say that tonight is our last night in NXT, and we take our towns to Friday nights. But tonight we won't leave in the light. We're going to leave in darkness. Ha 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 ha. So these witches just laugh. And they're saying, we're going to take these titles to SmackDown. That's what they said in this promo. And by the end of the night, maybe they were telling the truth.
Yeah, I'm looking at the SmackDown roster, and besides like Damage Control, there's no tag teams for them to fight against. So I'm not sure what they're going to be doing there, if they're going to keep it together as a unit, if they're going to have them do solo runs or whatnot. If they're ever going to do this whole witch character, are they going to downplay? Are they going to amplify it even more? Who knows what they're going to do on SmackDown. But pretty intriguing promo here, and I'm just curious what they're going to do with them, with Fyre and Dawn.
Fyre Dawn. They still don't have a name for them. I just called them the witches.
Yeah, that works.
These damn witches. We go to the ring, and in the ring is Trick Williams, not wearing a shirt, but it's Florida. It's okay. He says he's here and he hopes Melo is resting up. He's not here tonight, and he wants to bring it back to when him and Melo first met back in high school. And he said that they became friends when they first met up, and Game recognized Game. And he says he still remembers sitting at the lunch table, eating those nasty ass sloppy joes. And he says those weren't the only things there, because Trick Melo Gang was being created, and we're still boys to this day. And if Trick and Melo are like Shaq and Kobe, because if Kobe doesn't get it, well, then I'll come down and get it on the rebound, essentially is what he's saying here. When he basically says that Melo has a challenge for Braun Breaker, a rematch at Battleground when Braun Breaker comes out here. Braun's looking a little confused. He says, I don't know why you're running your mouth. I want the match. I don't care. But last week, I put you in the recliner. Yeah, he did call it the Steiner recliner. He then says, I put your buddy in the hospital, so tell him I'm in. Sure. And he's like, I don't want you running your mouth anymore, because I already put him in the hospital, and you should just know or see what I could do to his mouthpiece. And Trick gets a little upset at this and says that I'm going to knock that tan off you until you're black and blue, when the crowd starts chanting, whoop that Trick, which we're getting a match now next week with Trick taking on Braun Breaker.
Yeah, definitely a lot of spotlight on Trick between this and a segment later on that we're going to get. It makes me think, like, are they planning on calling Trick up, or is this for, like, when Carmelo gets brought up and Trick has a nice, like, solo run? I did find it interesting that he mentioned the name of the high school. It was called W.J. Keenan. I actually looked it up, and it's a real high school in Columbus, South Carolina. So I'm thinking, like, I don't think he would say the name of the high school unless this was true, because obviously people can just see the name of the high school and find out that it's false. So maybe it's true. Maybe they did somehow end up in the same school. Like, who knows? But if that is true and they actually did know each other, it kind of reminds me of like what Enzo and Cass like knew each other from basketball back in the day. So it kind of gives me the same vibes. That just makes their partnership even more valid for me. But definitely a spotlight on him. I like the line where he said, I'm gonna knock your tan off until you're black and blue. He said to Braun. That was a pretty cool line. But yeah, Trick can definitely go on the mic for sure. And this should be a test for him next week against Braun.
Yeah, I mean, I see him getting just eaten because that's what Braun has been doing. He hurt Andre Chase last week too, right? So
That's true.
he's just been crushing people. Yeah, I like Trick. He's definitely stepped it up. He at one point was like the guy I could not stand to see on the screen, but his like, I don't know, his mic work, his game is definitely like legit. It seems like he doesn't have to try to ooze charisma, whereas a lot of other people are the opposite, right? So
yeah, when he first came on, I could see him like possibly like sounding annoying to you, but like he was able to win people over right away because you're like, okay, this guy knows how to talk. This guy knows how to like work the mic for sure.
Yeah. Well, next week, will Braun whoop that Trick? And I guess we'll find out. We go to JD McDonagh backstage with Mackenzie, and she says, "Hey, you've been drafted to Monday Night Raw. What's that like?" And he says, "Well, I've been waiting 21 years. I guess that's how long he's been wrestling. I don't think he's 21 years old, but he says, and it's going to be Monday Night McDonagh," when he's interrupted by Noam Dar. I had to take a sec. Good thing he carries around this cup because I had no idea who this guy was because he's got like his hair like
every
in, like,
week
Wendy's
he changes,
ponytails or something.
He changes
I don't
his
know.
hairstyle every week, I feel like.
Yeah, he says, "Hey JD, I noticed that you have a match tonight against Dragon Lee, and I want you to take special care of him, and because he's got his eye on my Heritage Cup, and I don't like that." And JD says, "You know what? If you were smart, you'd stay away from me because if I wanted to, I could take that cup to Monday Night Raw." So there you have it, folks. We're getting our first tease of the Heritage Cup, which a lot of people still don't even know what that is. Might show up on Monday Night Raw. Wow. Wrestling's going to be wild.
I know all about the Heritage Cup. I was there for the initial birth of it, the
tournament,
was there. The defenses. I was there. I actually was there virtually through the Thunderdome because somehow my face ended up in the NXT UK Thunderdome, and I'm like, how did this happen? So that was
did you
very
sign
interesting.
On for that?
I guess when I signed my contract, I gave my my rights to the WWE forever. But yeah, this is kind of like interesting that they kind of teased this. So obviously, we're not going to get this match. You were probably happy that JD wants to take this cup with him to Raw. You're like, yeah, get it off my screen and bring it to Monday nights.
Yeah, I don't watch Mondays, so take the cup somewhere else where I don't have to see it because I don't like it. But it's okay. We'll see. I liked how they weren't just being nice to each other because they're heels. JD's like, "Nah, I'm scary. Screw you," kind of thing.
Yeah, and like it definitely gave me like babyface turns, and obviously he had like a little send off after his match. It made me seem like, are they trying to like babyface him before he goes to the main roster, and that's how he's going to be presented as?
Maybe it's possible. Yeah. We see Gigi Dolan make her entrance, and she gives props to her brother Miles, who's in the crowd, as we go to commercial break because she's got a match next. When we come back, you get a promo for Danny Palmer. It's a video of her TikTok, and she's going to make her debut a little later tonight. So more TikTok wrestlers. But Gigi Dolan versus Jacy Jayne. It's a grudge match. Well, a rematch of the grudge match that didn't really come off as a grudge match. So they thought they'd do it again. And something tells me they're going to need to do that one more time after this as well. I know this is supposed to be Gigi Dolan's younger brother, but this guy looked like Jack Black. I thought this was Jack Black in the crowd for a second.
I thought it was like a member of the flock. Like, who is this? Like, Sick Boy? Like, one of those guys from Nitro just sitting there with the leather jacket, and, the curly hair. I'm like, who's this guy? He has shades on. I'm like, oh, this guy's like straight out of the 1997 WCW here.
Is it our own fault though? Because they're like, oh, baby brother, like younger brother. So I'm like, okay, I'm expecting a kid, and this is like, dude.
Well, in the video they showed last week, they showed like clips and whatever. He was like a young kid, like 10 years old. That must have been an old video because he must be like, he's like 15, 16 years old. Like, yeah, this is a Miles Dolan here. Yeah, definitely not baby brother. But yeah, he didn't really do anything. He just kind of like stood there.
This was probably pretty cool for him to be sitting there and cheering on his sister. I'm pretty sure he's been at some of her shows in the past, quite a bunch of them as well. But to be focused there, they gave her a GG sign he's holding up. I was like, yeah, I would be happy for my family too. But too bad he was sitting ringside because he had to witness this where his sister got beat up. Yep. Jacy Jayne's being pretty mean here, and she starts attacking the back of Gigi Dolan here. There's some kicks and strikes, and then like this back senton as she keeps working it. They start to brawl around back and forth ringside. This is where Jacy starts to get in the face of Miles. Gigi at one point boots Jacy right in the face, and I thought it didn't connect. But the next time you see Jacy's face, it is a crimson mask. She is just bleeding. There's some sort of interference where she like gets in the face of the brother, which causes some sort of a distraction here. And then when Gigi and Jacy are back in the ring, it's Jacy who hits her with a roundhouse kick and then stacks Gigi for the pin here with this just visual of her bloody face. So the t-shirt coming soon to www.shop.com. But yeah, not quite the match I thought that we were going to get, but I guess it continues to further this feud and now having the brother involved and all that. But man, she was covered in blood.
Yeah, I feel like before this match, they're obviously close to these two. They're like, let's just go out there and just fuck each other up. Because that's pretty much what happened. I feel like they were just giving each other stiff shots. And when she hit that boot and they like redid it right after, I'm like, why did they redo the spot? And the first one seemed like she legit hit her. And then it wasn't until like a minute later where you realize she's busted open, this gushing down blood in her face. It was definitely a cool visual. Yeah, this match definitely wasn't good. But, you know, the visual of the blood coming down definitely gave it something to talk about.
Yeah, she can use that visual for maybe not t-shirts, but for all sorts of things. Like thinking of what a bloody face can do for people.
I mean, it makes sense. They have to have a blowout match now, right? Because the first time it was Gigi got her face busted open by the door. Now you have Jacy got all bloody. So it's like the third match has to be like some sort of crazy stipulation, you would think.
Yeah.
Maybe put Miles on a pole, like her brother. Or something.
Miles on a pole.
In a shark cage. Do something.
Yeah. Winner gets what is it? Winner gets to own Miles. Like they get to adopt him.
Is he gonna like turn on his sister and then start dating Jacy Jayne or something? Like that's what happens in wrestling usually, right? Yeah, I can see that happening.
This is a kid who doesn't really look like.
Listen, last time I was on UpNXT, I made a prediction that we're going to talk about with the next match, and this is my prediction on this match: is Miles is going to turn on her sister and turn up, but to team up with Jacy Jayne.
I think Jacy's going to rub it in her face the next few weeks. Like, see, I beat you in front of your brother. Which Gigi's going to come out, want revenge, and we do get some sort of like unsanctioned match at the Battleground show,
yeah,
and Miles should get involved there for sure. Yeah. Can't wait. There'll be lawyers involved. It'll just be like Eddie and Ray from SummerSlam, but the winner gets to keep Miles. Can
you not bring up lawyers? I'm having PTSD of me running down Mark Sterling on What Up Doe, him being involved in every single AEW lawsuit going on right now. I don't even need any more lawyers in wrestling, even though I do like Luca Crucifino, who's been showing up on Level Up with his little People's Court entrance theme. I love me some Luca.
Siino, you know, there's only one true lawyer in wrestling, the world's greatest attorney.
Oh my God, Sophia Lopez on Women of Wrestling. There's a lot of lawyers in wrestling.
Sophia Lopez? Oh man, I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's Sophia Lopez, right? I'm pretty sure it is.
You might be the only other person I talk to WoW about.
Yeah, it's a great show. Great show.
Great show. Shout out. Who's your favorite right now? Meaning, who's the one you sent me their Instagram?
Samantha Smart. I'm a fan of Samantha Smart. G.I. Jayne. I'm a big fan of G.I.
Jayne. That's the one.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
Yeah, they had a great match last week with the 4-way, the like dynasty, the bloodline.
Yeah, it was like
the women bloodline,
the Island Dynasty against the reincarnation of the 4 horsewomen, the 4 horsemen with the Fabulous 4 here. Yeah, a great match. They got to have a War Games match now with those two teams.
I'm waiting for AJ Lee to get in the ring.
She might. Hey, you never know. CM Punk might be backstage at Women of Wrestling next week. He's at every show, right? So,
yeah, exactly. But yeah, watch WoW. We go to our next match, and you mentioned the last time you were on UpNXT, you predicted this. When was this match? When was this show that you were on? A few months back?
I think Fyre Frank said it was back in, I don't know, when did he say it was? February? That long ago? Wow, yeah. And there was like some tease of it, and they had a match already on Level Up, which actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed that match probably more than this match. And I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. You have the super villain and the superhero, and I think when I said it, Davey was like, yeah. Like, fuck off. And I'm like, here it is. Now we're here. Like, I'm back on the show, and this is the match that we were building for. It's like I planned it way back then. I planted the seeds, and here I am to watch my tree of Axiom and Scrypts grow.
Wow. I mean, you might be the only one who watches Level Up.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't even know when it airs. I don't even know where to watch it.
It airs on Peacock after SmackDown on Friday nights. But when you ask me, who is Obafemi and who is Danny Palmer and who is Tank Ledger, I know these guys because they've been on Level Up for the past couple months. Right.
You're smart. It's like the NXT to NXT.
Pretty much, yeah.
NXT Level Up. But yes, you did predict this. Superhero versus super villain, face-to-face, mask to mask. This dream match here. I loved the promos Was it last week? Whenever that was, like the super villain style. The past few weeks where it's comic book style. I like when WWE can do this. It brings me back. I will say, like when I was super young, comic books is what got me into wrestling. So when they do crossover, it does tug at my okay, even if it's not good, I can still get into it. And Axiom versus Scrypts. So Scrypts, this should be a mask versus mask match. We said that last week, and that wasn't the case. But in the end, it kind of was. So Axiom's the math superhero guy. He comes in making his entrance. As he gets in the ring, Scrypts attacks him. You'd think, well, he tries to. Axiom's fallen for this too many times that he's stopped him too many times now. You think Scrypts would try to flip the script a little here, no pun intended, because this move keeps getting blocked here. This like Molly go round before the bell is even rung. He is like true supervillain. So these two are just flying at each other here. Vic Joseph on commentary is like, yo, Vic, you know, which masked wrestler do you got here? Do you think Axiom's got this, or do you think Scrypts has got this? And Booker's like, yo, man, I don't pick sides. It's like, all right, good talk. There's a huge spot where Scrypts and him are now brawling around Booker T, and Vic and Booker are like, okay, you better stay away. And Vic makes the joke that we've been joking. He's become the Spanish announce table because he keeps getting people thrown into him. So you could tell he was like, yo, fuck off. Scrypts sends...
and Booker's definitely like reacting to it. He's like, I'm gonna take my notes and I'm gonna stay over here. Like he's finally taking the hint that every week they try to attack him.
So Scrypts sends Axiom into like the barricade and then runs and jumps off the commentary table to do this like parkour type flippy Cirque du Soleil spin kick, landing onto Axiom. This was pretty great. Booker loved this. The crowd loved this. He gets Axiom back in the ring, but Axiom fights back and counters a few moves and then hits a Northern Light suplex and then transitions into a cross arm breaker. Axiom is just really special when it comes to in-ring, man. He is so fast and so clean and crisp. Scrypts, though, showing up here, he fights back and hits a moonsault to a standing Axiom for a near fall. There's then Axiom coming back. There's a huge drop kick, very AJ Styles-esque back in the day. And then there's a spot where Scrypts is going for a kick, and Axiom catches it, flips him to make Axiom do a full rotation, and then while landing on his feet is welcomed by a pop-up knee by Axiom, which looked pretty great. And then he hits the Scrypts gets back up somehow and goes for a 450, and in midair the 450 is countered into a super kick by Axiom. Everything this guy keeps trying to do is getting shut down, and then Axiom shuts him down even more with the golden ratio and nails this guy and puts him to bed. And Axiom beats Scrypts in a pretty flashy and fun match. Like this felt like a comic book match because it was nonstop craziness.
Yeah, I mean, we make fun of Scrypts, right, with his mask and his outfit and his promos, but he can obviously move. You know, he has the circus background with these flips and everything, and Axiom works obviously really well with him. He can counter all his moves with his own, flashy moves. So they definitely have good chemistry with each other for sure. Is this the end of this feud? It looks like it by the post-match angle, but I definitely wouldn't mind seeing these guys go at it again.
Yeah, so there's a bit of an angle afterwards where Scrypts is like, hey, I'm sorry. And Axiom goes to shake his hand, but Scrypts attacks Axiom and starts to beat him up. So what does Axiom do? He rips off the mask of Scrypts, revealing it's
John Cena.
No, it's
Reggie.
What?
Yeah,
that's Reggie.
Unless they call him like Sebastian or something else. I don't know. They didn't say his name, but Booker T definitely was like, "Oh, you know who that is, right?" But he didn't.
Who that is?
They didn't actually say his name.
They didn't say his name, but yeah.
I mean, Reggie. If you're thinking of NXT universe, Reggie never appeared on NXT, so we shouldn't really know who he is unless we watch the 24/7 division on Raw.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know who this guy is because I never watched Raw, right? Yeah. So I don't know who this guy, though. I thought it was pretty funny, like Booker T and Vic, like, oh, we don't want to say who it is, but it is. It was pretty good. This should have just been a mask versus mask, and then still do the angle after. So, Frank in the chat saying it. To be fair, Booker probably doesn't really know who that is anyway, so it's okay. And also, Rin in the chats saying Axiom isn't wearing hockey masks. When I think the joke you're trying to say is I'm not wearing hockey pads, referring to superheroes who aren't superheroes dressing up like superheroes. So yeah, back to the drawing board for Scrypts.
I see what you did.
The writing board. I don't know. He didn't draw, did he? I don't know.
I mean, what happens now? Does he like go into like some even more evil super villain, and now he has to get like what, the Sinister Six or something? Like he's gonna come back with a squad of villains to take down Axiom, or is he just gonna forget about this and go back to being Reggie or whatever they want to call him?
Yeah, I don't know. After watching a match like this, I was impressed by these two. So I thought for a second we were getting an Avengers like.
Yeah, I got excited. I'm like, oh, it's like a Marvel team up over here. I'm like, yeah, put them together as a tag team. Why not? But no, it was short lived, unfortunately.
Yeah, good stuff though. Masked wrestlers wrestling. We go to the best part of the show here. Big Daddy's, the bar down in Florida, and we see Fallon Henley and Josh Briggs sitting at the bar, and business is thriving at Big Daddy's. It's bumping, the music's playing, drinks are being poured, and in comes Briggs Jensen, and he's dressed a little normally now. He looks good. Yeah. He's like a mix of the new and the old. He's got just a t-shirt, a chain. He's cleaned up. He looks nice. He's not wearing the hair that way. You know, he looks good. And he goes, guys, I just want to say I'm sorry. And Fallon and Briggs are like, look, you've said sorry a million times. We know. We get it. You don't have to say it anymore. Look, we're family. It doesn't matter. We sometimes we fight, and we got through this. And Brooks says, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for having my back and not just turning on me after I turned on you. And they're like, of course, man, we're family. And Brooke notices Fallon is busy holding all these envelopes and letters and business bills and, you know, the storyline of the bar. And Brooks says, you know, Kiana showed me some things. I learned a few things from Kiana. And Briggs shuts him down and says, whoa. This bar's PG. Don't be telling me that kind of stuff. And he's like, no. I mean, like business things like Fallon. And then he goes into this like little spiel of like, hey, you could save money and do this if you just did this, and you could save some things. And I don't know, he's like explaining reverse mortgages to me. It just went right over my head. And they're like, oh, like, hey, that sounds like it could work, actually. He's like, yeah, you know, I picked up a few things. I just want to help you guys. While two women now tap Brooks on his shoulder and say, hey, Brooks, they knew his name. Do you want to have some drinks with us? And Brooks says, sorry, girls, not right now. I'm hanging out with my family. It's a special night.
What a pal.
Fallon and Briggs just look at each other and look at him like, what the hell? What's happened here as the segment ends? So, yeah.
I have a theory, okay? I want to make another bold prediction here. So, he knows a lot about business, obviously. And he didn't want to speak to these girls, right? So I'm thinking, is there somebody else maybe in Brooks? So who do you think he could be speaking to that is giving him business tips that's not Kiana James? Who else was hanging out in that office?
No, you're saying he's with G?
I think he's going to bring G into this picture. He's going to bring in G, and that's going to be his girl. He's going to be with G.
I think he's just like, it's rubbed off on him. Like he grew up, you know, like he finally... So like, you know, before he was a virgin by choice, but like not his choice. And now tonight he was a virgin, you know, by not, you know, I feel like he's manned up, you know, he learned a little bit. You get your heart broken, you learn a little bit. He learned about business. He learned about how his family is important. His friends are important. He's dressing nice, you know?
Only thing that he should have did was he should have ordered a drink from Fallon, and it should have been the same exact drink that you guys had. Because he knows about the drink, right? He knows what goes in it. He should have actually, like, I forgot what the ingredients were, but he should have described it as such and be like, that's the Briggs Jensen. And then huge pop. The one week that Davie wouldn't be on the show is when they actually reveal his drink on an episode of NXT.
Yeah, the Briggs Jensen was a virgin cocktail. And I mean, now it's just a Moscow Mule, I would assume. I'm not sure. We have to ask Brooks what he does enjoy drinking. But yeah, this was hilarious. Classic Briggs and Jensen comedy kind of silliness that I just now love for some reason. But yeah, I just want to see these guys flourish. I'm happy that they weren't drafted because I'd rather see them stick as a team and win the tag titles here.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be able to do all this stuff, I feel like, on SmackDown or Raw, like at least like to this detail. But he did bring up some good points about like what the bar is like on some valuable land. So you think like they're going to sell the bar? Like, I mean, you would think so. They kind of planted
Wow.
those seeds of them being able to get this, like, all this money for selling the bar or selling
Yeah,
the
you
land
gotta.
around the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I would like to see them because the storyline of the bar, I guess, is going for it. I still would like to see him and Fallon if there is a chance, if that's still a thing. But that was just one hint there. But yeah, uh, Malik in the chat is saying my theory is Brooks got trauma after dating Kiana, so he doesn't trust women anymore. This also, yeah, you get your heart broken. You don't want to trust anyone ever again.
Understandable.
Poor guy. But yeah, the saga of Brooks Jensen continues. And I'm just going to say it. Brooks Jensen should be the man to dethrone Roman Reigns eventually. I'm talking like WrestleMania 41, somewhere 41. Like that. Yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah.
After party at the at Big Daddy's. Yeah.
Yeah. Is 41 going to be in Florida, or is that Rumble? He'll win that Rumble that they're teasing. That or Orlando's bidding for the Rumble, right?
Yeah, no, 40 is in Philly, and 41, last I heard, like, Minnesota was in the running for that, so who knows if it's going to be in Minnesota or not.
Yeah, Frank in the chat says we care too much about this angle. Yeah, because it's the best angle going in wrestling.
Absolutely,
Brooks Jensen. We go now to our next match of the evening, and this was a cracker. Definitely would recommend checking out this one if you're just a cherry picker of NXT, because this was quite a treat. Dragon Lee taking on JD McDonagh in what seems to be his farewell match here in NXT. It starts off with Booker T on commentary going off about how he wants that meat. So it's going to be a banger. These two are just going at each other so fast and so quick, countering each other. Eventually, it's Dragon Lee who drops him and gets the best of McDonagh, who gets a little upset. He gets thrown into the corner, and Lee runs at him with a series of running drop kicks in the corner again and again. This is when Noam Dar shows up ringside. He's decided to watch the match carefully because he knows Dragon Lee might be after that cup of his. There's JD who gains control during the commercial break. When we come back, JD's got like a leg scissors and turns it into this like really technical roll up, which looked really impressive. And then tries to take the mask off Dragon Lee out of the corner, which was pretty cool and pretty mean. Eventually, Lee hits a crossbody off the top, a double stomp off the top. There's then a chop exchange on the apron, with then JD hits him with a Death Valley driver on the apron. They crash and burn to the outside. JD gets in the ring, and when the ref is at 9, a 9 count, Dragon Lee rolls back into the ring just to make it. So JD is a little pissed off here. He starts putting the boots to him. He lifts him up, and Dragon Lee counters this move. I don't know what he was going for, but counters it into a Poisonrana. Shout out Vic Joseph for calling it the proper name. We then get JD hitting a Spanish fly off the top. It's a kick out. He gets pissed. He picks him up and hits him with a brain buster, but Lee kicks out of that as well. McDonagh goes for the devil inside, but that's countered into a destroyer, as Vic says he should rename that the Dragon Destroyer. But JD falls outside as Dragon Lee tries to bring him back in here. There was another distraction by Noam Dar here, which then allows McDonagh to headbutt Dragon Lee, and then he hits him with this like pop-up knee thing, and then the devil inside connects, and McDonagh pins Dragon Lee in a banging match here on NXT.
Yeah, I mean, this match was amazing, honestly. Can't recommend it highly enough. I was a little surprised that they put Dragon Lee, to get his first loss against a JD, but they're really, putting, a lot of momentum behind JD with him with just little babyface tease and now getting this big win, having this fantastic match as well. You have the Noam Dar excuse there, so Dragon Lee doesn't look too weak, and obviously Dragon Lee can spin off and feud with Noam for the Heritage Cup. But yeah, nice match here from these two for sure. Definitely wouldn't mind seeing these two run it back, who knows, years down the line and on Raw or SmackDown, whatever the case. I'm sure Dragon Lee will be called up within a year for sure. But yeah, this is a fantastic match, absolutely, and can't wait to see what they do with JD on Raw. I mean, if they're gonna keep the momentum going, you definitely think they're gonna be pushing him on Raw pretty well.
Yeah, honestly, Vic and Booker T were talking about just that. Like, hey, these guys are probably gonna fight years later when their careers meet again, like the trajectory is gonna do, and they're gonna have a banger. Booker was really high on this match after it ended. He was like, okay, that was a classic. And honestly, this is probably one of the best NXT matches on TV in quite a long time. I enjoyed this over anything from Spring Breaking. So Spring Breaking. So
yeah, I forgot if it
honestly.
was either Roosh or Dralistico, because all three of them, along with Dragon Lee, are all brothers. But one of them put up like a thing on.
Don't start talking to me about which Dragon Lee used this name and this guy used this. Don't start that.
But like he asked the question, like, where should all three brothers be? And it's like, honestly, imagine Roosh and Dralistico down at NXT with their brother, and then eventually get called up and feud with the LWO or something. Like, I mean, I love Roosh, but he's really not doing anything. He's down there in Ring of Honor, which is like kind of becoming like AEW Dark to me with the squash matches now.
Did I not see some rumblings from those guys? Basically, be like,
yeah,
hey, we
would
like
saying.
to be there. Yeah.
Well, Dralistico is not signed. He's not signed to AEW or Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it. So he technically, I guess, could sign. And I even heard that like WWE is not like in a hiring. They are firing possibly, but not in a hiring freeze. And they could be looking to sign more, well-known names like a Dragon Lee. So why not bring in a Dralistico? And who knows Roosh's situation? But Andrade, he's still out there. I'm sure he's probably not too happy whatever's going on there. But imagine bringing these guys in as like a heel faction to fight off the LWO on SmackDown one week, just randomly come out. I think it'd be fantastic. And obviously they're doing wonders with Dragon Lee. So I'm sure like his brothers are probably like, I kind of wish I was there right now,
Yeah, like they've had some moments in AEW and they've had some matches and stuff. And Roosh is awesome. Roosh, he was a bigger name before that with Ring of Honor and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, you would imagine some of these guys are now looking at the other side, like, hey, actually, we had the better slot, and now all of a sudden, Dragon Lee's sitting pretty.
They're looking at those LW merch sales right now, and
yeah,
they're just like, I kind of want to cut of that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, damn, okay. I personally now at this point just want Andrade back in WWE with feuding with Ray and Santos and all that and stuff. I would really like to see that because he's not even been wrestling, so I don't know what the deal with that is. But yeah, this match was awesome, and if JD can do matches like this on Raw every week, then he will definitely be getting some momentum and some traction going forward. But yeah, I can't wait that Dragon Lee is staying here because I have a hunch he will be winning the cup very soon. I got to get that match there. We get a recap of all the parking lot attacks. Okay, well, they're not really parking lot attacks. You see, everyone thinks the parking lot in NXT is not safe. No. It's just NXT is not safe. We have a recap of when Nikita Lyons was attacked. That was in the parking lot. Her ACL was just attacked, so she's out. She had to get surgery. We saw Wendy Chu. She was attacked as well. And then last week when Sol Ruka was also attacked and pulled into an office and beaten, and NXT Anonymous catches it, but we don't know who this NXT Anonymous is. So maybe they have something to do with it. But who is the culprit of all these attacks and injuries in NXT? What's going on with ACLs?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, shout out to Andrew Thompson, put up the article on Post Wrestling that Sol Ruka is undergoing surgery for an ACL injury, so she's legit hurt, for sure. And so was Nikita. Wendy's not hurt. Wendy I've seen, on Main Event and Level Up, so she's okay. But, who's doing all these attacks? I was trying to look up and down the roster, and the only person I can think of that we haven't seen in a while is, a Blair Davenport. I know we kind of threw out the idea of her being with the Witches, but she hasn't been around for a while. Stevie Turner, remember the streamer? She was just there, and then she disappeared for a while. Those are two women that pop in my head, unless it's somebody totally new that we haven't seen in NXT, ever. Maybe some new signing. Who knows?
You know what? The Stevie Turner thing might make sense if NXT Anonymous is the one behind it, because sense, right? She's all about the streaming and the tech stuff and the internet stuff. So that could somewhat tie in. For whatever reason, I thought it was just Zoe Stark because she was the resident baddie who's just beating people up and being mean. But now that you kind of say it, I just don't know, trying to debut a Blair Davenport would kind of be a bit of a oh, who? Sorry, what?
Yeah, and plus they already did that, right? She was already there, she kind of disappeared and came back. I'm just trying to think, maybe it's some women wrestler out there.
Yeah, it's probably going to be announced it's Cora Jade or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, who attacked all these people? What's going on with ACLs and the Performance Center? That's the real culprit. The trainers and leg days. That's what's really hurting the staff down there.
Shout out to Muggin. He would have $2.20 Canadian super chat saying that Blair Davenport's been jumping them, so he's convinced that it's Blair Davenport.
It could be Blair. We then go to the Battle of the Joes. Joe v. Joe. Joe Gacy versus Joe Coffey, and this match has a stipulation. If Joe wins, if Joe Gacy wins, his lads, the Dyad, get a title shot. And if Joe wins, Coffey, they never get a title shot. So this is pretty funny and pretty cheeky because everyone's kind of talking about, well, hey, these guys have like been publicly talking about how they wanting out of WWE and NXT. Yep. And you would assume this can go only one of two ways here. But the match starts. Joe Coffey, though, this is his return match here to NXT and TV here. So we get them kind of scuffling here. I will say Joe Coffey looks in great shape, but that can be also said for Joe Gacy, who I think is also been hitting the gym and looking a lot better as well. These two go at it. Gacy hits him with a Uranagi early on for a 2 count. Coffey climbs up top and hits him with a top rope drop kick, which looked pretty sweet. Eventually, he's putting the boots to Gacy and hits the, I'm going to get this right, best of the bells or best for the bells? Best for the bells. Rock the bells.
For the best of the bells, I want to think it's called.
For the best of the bells. But as he goes to pin him, the Dyad lads put one of his foot, put Gacy's foot on the ropes. So the ref is like, no, it's only a 2 count, but notices that they did it. So they're like, hey, you Dyad lads, why don't you get out of here? So the ref is distracted and kind of looking the other way now when Ava Raine gets in the ring wearing some really tall platform shoes or something. She was taller than everyone else in this ring. And she says, she just stares at Joe Coffey. And then before the ref turns around, she falls to the ground and pulling almost an Eddie Guerrero here. As the ref turns, she says, he hit me. He hit me. I can't believe it. He hit me. And as he's like, no, I didn't do it. Joe Gacy runs the ropes, hits the upside down lariat and pins Joe Coffey. That means shoes off for Gibson, shoes off for James Drake, possibly. Next week, they get their tag team title opportunity.
First of all, I love Eddie Guerrero, but I feel like I've seen this same spot at least 4 times in the last month.
Week?
Kevin Owens did it, right? Last night. I've seen it. AEW, I'm pretty sure I've done it recently as well. So that's the first thing. Ava, on her dad's birthday, no less, doing this. And the only reason I know it's The Rock's birthday is my son told me. He's like, oh, it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson's birthday. I'm like, oh.
Dwayne's birthday. Wow.
I'm like, how do you know that? It's like, oh, they announced it in school. I'm like, what? They announced it during the does The Rock have a contract with elementary schools that his birthday's being announced? But that was an interesting fact.
Good morning, children. Today is The Rock's birthday.
Yeah, I mean, he's future president of the United States. So I guess they got to start talking about it now.
Wait, hold on. I little known fact. I started out doing morning announcements when I was really young. I was like, yo, the morning announcements suck. Why do they suck? And my teacher said, if you think they're not good, then why don't you do it? And I was like, yeah, bet. And then I was hilarious. And then I did it for a long time. But I do remember that sometimes you'd find things like, hey, today is, National Chimpanzee Day. Or hey, today's the Queen's birthday. So I guess that's what it was. Hey,
interesting facts. All the kids know The Rock. So yeah. I guess that makes sense.
So happy birthday, Rock.
But back to this match, I think they're going to put the titles on the Dyad, right? Why else go through all this and all the stipulations? I think they want to keep these guys happy. They don't want to lose them. They saw that they publicly kind of put them on blast. So it's you know what? We'll put the titles on you guys. Why not? You guys deserve it. Yeah,
I like them. I would love for them to win the titles. The storyline, the little thing earlier in the night, and I think also last week, was when Gacy's like, I'm going to do this for the Dyads. And then they walk off. She says, yeah, but you have to do things for yourself.
Right. That was a little interesting.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if something happens. Does he stop them from winning the titles? Do they win the titles and then beat him up? Do they win the titles and then reveal nah, we were just acting emo and stuff because we wanted the titles?
Yeah.
This was all our
end game. They get the titles and then Joe brings in somebody else and they go after the titles for them. Also, Ivy Nile was kind of involved with this. She was watching backstage and she was like, I'm sick of Ava keep interfering, and she kind of stormed off as well. So you have that going on. But yeah, definitely caught that as well, where Ava was telling him you do it for yourself. Yeah, do it for yourself. So but we're getting the match next week. They announced the title match is going to be. They're not saving it for Battleground. They're doing it next week. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean the best thing about Joe Gacy winning a match is you get to hear that theme again. So that was a plus. But yeah, next week I'm for the Dyads winning because. As much as I used to not like Gallus, I think they have really stepped up, actually. I think this was a kind of poor spot for Joe Coffey to return at. I'd honestly, if this was kind of the plan, I would have had these guys called up to fight some people on the main roster as another kind of unit. I think they would have been.
Oh yeah,
better
I can definitely see
pick.
that. Bring them up. They could feud with Imperium. They could feud with the Brawling Brutes. Yeah, I can definitely see that down the line.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be next week. I want to see the Dyads win, and then afterwards they put on the scarves, they cut a promo, and they're back to being GYV. It was all a ruse. We see Sol Ruka. She's on FaceTime. She's healing up her injury, wearing a Mac Miller shirt. She's talking with Danny Palmer, who's got her debut up next, really. And this is when Hank and Tank come into the whatever she's doing. She's like doing stretches and like splits and stuff. And they're like, Danny. And they're like, hey, we're really excited for your match. Good luck tonight and all the best. You know, Sol's watching at home. We're watching. And she says, thanks, guys, as she goes to get ready. When Ebby walks in, who's this guy again? Obafemi. What did my spell check wrote Ebby? So Ebby? I'm like, all right, cool. Obafemi walks in and they're like, hey, you gonna watch her match? And he just like looks at them, kind of grunts, and then walks off. This guy's a beast. Can't wait to see him wrestle again. He put on a pretty great debut last week. But yeah, Danny Palmer up next. I'm gonna miss Sol Ruka. I'm seeing Megan in the chat, some people in the chat saying, yeah, I hope she comes back. She's someone I still think will be a big deal and possibly a champion here in NXT in a year's time. Hopefully she recovers soon.
Yeah, they could definitely use this like time away like to their advantage. They could like have coming soon promos and show all the highlights all the time she hit the Soul Snatcher and all that, and definitely build up her return as like a big deal. It's just me, or does Hank and Tank, and I guess Danny is associated with them, kind of come off like an attempt at like Brooks and Josh Briggs, like kind of the very similar vibes with like the the tough everyday man and all that, like kind of like,
well, they're the security guards, right? Like, I guess.
But even like with their gear and the way they come out, they're kind of like rugged and rough. They kind of seem like the same type that like, even like on Level Up, they actually had a promo where they kind of were like doing the whole like finish each other's sentences type of thing. And I'm like, don't you dare do that.
Wow.
But they're definitely giving me like the same type of vibes that Briggs and Jensen did when they first came up. But yeah, I guess it's association. I'm not sure what's going on with Oba. He never came out and watched the match, so I'm not sure if he's just going to be like backstage just staring everybody down or whatnot.
Imagine he did just stand there. It's like, yo, Oba, just watch it in the back with everyone else, man. It's fine. We see a video from earlier today. I thought this match was happening tonight, but I was wrong. Eddie Thorpe is at the PC, and the cameraman's like, hey, Eddie, you've been here all day. It's time for you to go home. And he's like, I just always like being the last one here. And Damon Kemp walks in and says, hey, Eddie, throw this out for me, and throws his like water bottle, his trash at him. And Eddie's like, you want me to throw your trash out? Excuse me? Like, who are you talking to? And Damon's like, yeah. Damon Kemp says, yeah, you heard me, young boy. Just do it. I heard you like tearing down the ring and building the ring. So why don't you throw my trash out? And Eddie gets a little pissed and says, you know what? Why don't you have a match with me and we'll really see? So I guess we will get this match, but probably next week instead. But I like Damon Kemp with the New Japan young boy line there, because Eddie Thorpe obviously coming from New Japan before this and the dojo and all that. So yeah.
Damon Kemp hasn't even been there like a year yet, and he's already like calling other people young boys. And it's like, it's ironic, obviously, like Eddie Thorpe, Carl Fredis has been wrestling way longer than Damon Kemp, but the fact that he's like, the rookie, the young boy.
Yeah.
And obviously the New Japan connection with the young boy, if you know type of thing. So definitely interesting segment here. But yeah, I guess we're going to get the match next week.
We go to Danny Palmer making her debut against Tatum Paxley. I guess she didn't join the Witches after all. She looks a bit dark though. She's got some like
definitely changed her look a little bit. Like she's like not wearing as much like makeup, like eyeliner. I feel like she definitely like looked different. When I first saw her, I'm like, oh, it took me a second to realize that's Tatum Paxley.
Well, Danny Palmer's entrance is just her running into the stage, the ramp, doing flips and jumps and all sorts of stuff. It's high velocity right away. When the match starts, she's doing a bunch more of flips and handstands to evade everything that Tatum's trying to hit her with, countering moves. She does this crazy handstand backflip thing into a Hurricane Rana, which is pretty impressive. But Tatum ain't got time for any of that shit. She starts putting the boots to her, hits her with this suplex for a near fall. However, Danny comes back and does these pretty impressive like roll-ups, again, like sunset flips and lots of flipping things and counters, and very impressive. Eventually knocks Tatum down, climbs to the top rope, and hits a frog splash, kind of like the lowdown. I don't know. She did the whole like actual frog movement thing that people do. So it's a Rana splash off the top for a win in her debut. Lots of flips, no fists, just flips.
Yeah, I've actually been impressed with Danny. She's been wrestling a while on Level Up. Her and Sol Ruka have been teaming up. Obviously, we see the connection on TV. And I'm looking up her background. She's like a NCAA national champion in acrobatics and tumbling at Baylor University.
Okay.
So she definitely has like that experience of like, acrobatics and whatnot. So yeah, definitely good showing. And I love that finisher move. Like, like you said, it was a frog splash, but with a little bit more, I guess, Rana to it. But definitely a good showing in her debut.
Yeah, I think the frog splash definitely a little played out. At least she didn't do the Eddie shimmy like everyone else does. But like I think because we have Sol Ruka who's done a bunch of the flips and stuff, and then having the cool move. She didn't have the cool move for a while first, right? So Danny's still figuring that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, still pretty impressive for a debut here. Lots of flips, and once she can master turning those things into different moves and stuff, like, yeah, sky's the limit for sure.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what she can do, right? She could probably fill the void that Sol Ruka was with the whole, fantastic acrobatics. Maybe she has something like some soul snatcher move that we haven't seen yet that she's been working on that we might see in the coming weeks. Yeah.
We go to Chase University. It's class time. We see the class is all in session, but Andre Chase is not there. He's not present. Thea's like, where is he? Where is he? Where's our professor? Mr. Chase is never late. Where is he? And then all the students get a notification. And they all look at their phone at the same time. Mr. Chase has canceled class.
Oh, no.
And they say it's all because of a man who shall not be named who attacked him last week, meaning what, Ron Breaker, who hurt Andre. And yeah, there's just not going to be a class here today. What are we going to do without a teacher? We can't have a class. And Duke Hudson gets a little thought. Light bulb goes off and goes, I have an idea. And Duke stands up. He takes charge. He stands at the podium in front of the class and he goes, today, class, I'm going to be your teacher. And there won't be no pop quizzes here today. Pick up your pop quizzes and rip them in half. No more pop quizzes ever in Chase U. And the class go wild. They say, yeah. And they go, Duke, 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 Duke. And Duke smiles, puts his hand on his face, and he's like, Duke University. It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Yes, Duke, it does.
Yeah, I got a little worried here when they said Andre Chase didn't show up, because last time somebody didn't show up to Chase University, they unfortunately got released with Bodie Hayward. So I'm hoping this is more of a scenario where it's like Andre Chase comes back, and then all the students are like, we kind of like Duke more. We kind of like, that's when they start feuding over like who's gonna run Chase U. Is obviously what we're gonna get out of this.
Sorry, we're gonna get another match where the stipulation is the school is on the line.
Yeah, and I think Thea might side with who's she gonna side with? Is she gonna side with Andre or with Duke? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is big for this storyline. Like Duke has always wanted to take over, and now he's finally done it. The class might be behind him. He's that cool teacher, right? He's like, you guys want to watch a movie in class today? He's like that kind of guy, So
yeah, I think Frank in the BSK chat said he's like Mr. Belding's cool brother on Saved by the Bell. Kind of came in. Yeah, nobody's doing homework. Is that type of thing? He can't. The Duke University though. I don't think he's going to be able to trademark that. But we'll see what's going to happen between him and Chase in a couple weeks.
He should wear the Duke. Like the school,
yes, but with his face
everyone
on
wears.
It, yeah, with just his face with the horns on it, that'll be great.
But yeah, Andre Chase is gonna show up and be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" You ever had that though, where you had like your teacher, and then like you get the supply teacher, and you're like, "Oh, I know you're the fun one." Like everyone's got fun teachers, right? So yeah, I love this story. I love this storyline. And
I want to see him next week, like roll up the TV with the VCR, and he starts playing like old like wrestling, like
Dolan, the science guy.
Yeah, there we go.
I guess they just play old wrestling at Chase U, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because he was talking about the draft.
Back from like 2002. I was like,
all right, what do you guys know about the draft in 2002?
Funny side story really quick. I was in my I work in a mall, and I'm like walking around, and I'm just like whatever, and I'm like on my break, and I just look down, and I look at like in one of the phone stores with Verizon, and there's like three guys just like randomly just put on the network and start watching like the WWE draft from 2005, and I'm just like, what? Who does that?
Great year in wrestling.
But who randomly just like throws on the draft? This is like a week before the actual draft, so maybe they're trying to get into the zone or whatever. But like it was kind of funny just randomly just put on the draft to start watching. I couldn't tell you who got drafted in the 2002 draft, but I could probably, without cheating,
remember some of the 2005 drafts. Batista went to SmackDown. Siino went to Raw.
Yeah.
Christian stayed on Raw. Oh man, I can't remember now. Maybe I don't remember as much as I thought I did, but
yeah. You gotta go back and watch it. You gotta take it. I'm gonna pop quiz you next week. We're gonna have a pop quiz on
the 2005
draft.
Draw. The draft, yeah. Wow. Where were we? Well, we go to
this is an interesting segment. Yeah.
Yeah. Von Wagner is with Mr. Stone, Bob Stone, next to him, and he's got a baby pictures, a photo album here. And he's got, see, I told you my dad was a wrestler. And he's like, see, my dad wrestled at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, SummerSlam 92. I'm looking it up right now. So it was the Beverly Brothers against the natural disasters, or earthquake and typhoon, for the tag team championships that the Beverly Brothers did not win. But yeah, that was at Wembley Stadium.
And so he's talking about that. And he's like, see, like my dad was a wrestler and this and that. And Bob Stone is like, hey, Mr. Stone's like, wow. Your dad's a wrestler? I had no idea. And then says, hey, Vaughn, what are these pictures? And we see these baby pictures of Vaughn where it looked as if the photos of when he was a kid, like he almost had like stitches or
he had like
surgery
test tubes as well, like definitely like some stitching and some sort of like, I was like, this obviously, like you would think it's legit, right? They wouldn't make something like this up.
You wouldn't make something up like this. And Mr. Stone is like, hey, hold on a second, Vaughn, I want to look back at these. And he's like, no, that's enough for today. And closes the photo album and is like, no, please don't look at these. And like kind of walks off. So that's the segment where he's like, hey, I know you've been drafted because you're a free agent or whatever the Von Wagner thing is, but like people still need to learn more about you. And this was kind of the teaser at the end, like, hey, these pictures must have been of Vaughn when he was a kid, right? That's what I'm assuming. All these years later.
Very interesting. So I'm guessing they probably wanted to draft him, right, to Raw or SmackDown, and then somebody must have found out about this or whatever the case is, and they're like, hey, you know what? There's a lot of story to tell here. Let's kind of finish this off. NXT, turn him, baby. I mean, he has to turn babyface. It's this like sympathetic story of like this like baby that like went through some life altering procedure, whatever the case is. This is really intriguing. Obviously, don't know anything about this, and maybe they're going to bring his dad into it, and Wayne Bloom, and maybe have him discuss it, whatever case is. But this is definitely intriguing to go down this route. We really don't get like too much like personal stuff, especially in NXT. So I'm really intrigued to what they're going to be doing with this.
Yeah, like a segment ago is these people being like, yeah, no more pop quizzes, chase you, and you fake university. And then earlier there's the emo people. And then now this guy's like, yeah, I almost potentially died as a baby is where we're going to go with that. It's like, oh man, we're going some real personal, serious thing here, bringing something real into it, which is not something they always do. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. And I guess more on that next week, because I don't think we'll see him draft unless they go with this story on the main roster and kind of tell his story. But yeah, it doesn't work if he's a heel, right?
Yeah, I think they're trying to like repackage him in some way, and then once he starts getting some momentum and people like know about this story, they're probably gonna bring him up at that point.
Well, it doesn't matter. Friday nights, Mondays, it'll always be come Tuesday here on Up Next, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out Von Wagner. We go to technically our main event of the night. There still is a segment after this, but our match here, the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships on the line. The champions, the Witches.
So
Alba,
really quick before we get to this, so this is the interesting thing. So on SmackDown, they drafted the NXT Tag Champions, Isla, Dawn, and Alba Fyre, to SmackDown. Okay, obviously they got to drop the titles right then and there. As they showed at the Performance Center, like being drafted, you had Katana Chance and Kayden Carter come up to them saying, before you guys go, we want to challenge you for the titles. So everybody's like, okay, they're gonna obviously drop the titles. Then Raw comes along, and Katana and Kayden get drafted to Raw. So now we have a Raw tag team fighting a SmackDown tag team for the NXT tag team titles. So what the hell is going on here? Obviously, there wasn't a title change, but it's like kind of interesting what's going on with the title situation.
Yeah. So two teams that won't be here are fighting for the titles.
Like, do you have any other teams? Like, if you say, okay, have another tag team fight, no, you really don't. The only team I could have probably, like, there were other teams and they all got injured. You had Sol Ruka and Danny Palmer. Sol Ruka got injured. Nikita Lyons was teaming up with somebody at one point. She got injured. So yeah, we really don't have that many tag teams in NXT right now.
This could be the beginning of the end of the NXT Women's Tag Team titles, if you maybe look at it from a different angle there. We get Katana and Kayden early on. They're getting the best of the witches. They send them to the outside and hit double crossbody twisting planchas to the outside as we go into commercial break. When we come back, the witches are in control, but then Katana, finally, there's a tag in, and they hit this pretty cool looking double team, like leg drop moonsault combo splash for a near fall. It looked pretty sweet. A lot of these moves will get them over on the main roster for sure. Vic Joseph starts singing the Addams Family theme. I know he knew what he was doing, calling the witches spooky and all that. And there's then Alba Fyre who tags in and hits her swanton bomb off the top, but it's broken up at a 2.9 count. This was pretty great. There's then a series of roundhouse kicks. There's a code breaker on Isla by Katana. That looked great. There's then their neck breaker combo 450 splash, but Fyre breaks it up just in the nick of time there. There's then Katana, who's somehow busted open. Lots of blood on this episode. She goes up top, and they're all brawling in the ring at some point. Eventually, they hit a double Spanish fly, but Alba Fyre kicks out of it. Eventually, they send, I think it's Kayden to the outside, and then the witches hit the Gory Bomb Flatliner combo, which the second I saw this move hit the first time, I knew this had to be their finisher. And I'm so happy they finally are going with it because it looks great. The way she bends her back, and then Isla kind of looks at the camera with the spooky face and then hits the move together. This is a cool double team finisher. And the witches retain the NXT titles, and they are taking them to SmackDown. Pretty fun match. And again, both teams kind of proving that, hey, maybe it was the right call for us to go up because what other teams are there, which then leads me to believe, hey, maybe these titles get, unified or something along those lines. Cause there are no teams ready if these two teams leave NXT. But what did you think of the match?
Yeah, the match was great. I love that finishing move. They need a name for it, like Dawn of Fire or something along those lines. Katana, the second person to bleed on here. I'm not sure exactly where that came from, but her nose play was busted up as well. Definitely, these two teams, like I said, only two teams in NXT right now, right? But I'm really intrigued, like what they're going to do with this, because they said on both Raw and SmackDown that the draft goes into effect the day after Backlash, which is Monday. So if that's the case, they can't appear on NXT anymore. I'm not sure if the NXT people still have those same rules and regulations. But I could definitely see a match down the line between Dawn and Fyre against Liv and Raquel, and just do like a unification match for all the women's tag titles, and then maybe say whoever the women's tag champions are can appear on all three shows, because they've done that before. When the women's tag titles were first introduced, they could appear in all three brands. So maybe just do that. Maybe since they need more teams anyway in NXT, why not to have that be a stipulation where the women's champions can appear on all three brands?
Yeah, that could be it. The tag titles float around because there really isn't many teams in WWE and NXT for these women's titles. So not really sure what they do with it, but I'm happy that these two got called up. Sorry, that these four got called up. I've been watching them for quite a while, and I do think it was about time that this happened. So I got a little
worried because before this, there was a backstage segment with Katana and Kayden where Katana was being very over the top, friendly. She's like, "Oh, give me a hug," this and that. There was a line Isla and Alba have been together for 4 months. We've been together for 4 years. And then Katana's like, "Yeah, forever." And I'm like, what's going to happen here? Are they going to break up this team? No, you should not. No. I know. Once you say forever, I'm like, are they going to break up this team? Which would be the worst mistake, right? Because these two, alone, I don't think will do anything as much as they could do together as a team.
Yeah, don't split them up. At least right now, they'll both teams should be future WWE Women's Tag Team Champions because there's no other teams other than these two. Really, we get a video with Dijak. This is great because this guy is just leaning into the ham and cheese of whatever this boss man gimmick ripoff is, because he's got the baton and the nightstick at a desk in the dark. He's got a tape recorder. I don't know what that's from. Did he borrow that from Scrypts or something? I'm not sure what the tape recorder really comes into play. And he says, he's talking to Ilya, and he's like, "Ilya, don't you see what I did to you? I hurt you." And it shows him crushing the garage door on him. And he's like, "You want to fight me even after I did this to you? That's just what I did to you outside the ring. Wait till I get you inside the ring." So they're teasing this match next week, Dijak versus Dragunov, which sounds like a bit of a banger. And I'm surprised I thought they would stretch that out for the pay-per-view, which they still might, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised because Battlegrounds, like in what, like
in a month,
3 weeks?
Less than a month.
3 weeks. Yeah, so it's like a lot of these programs you think are ready for like the PLE spot or whatever, but no, we're getting them week by week. Yeah, Dijak and Dragunov are two guys that I expected to be called up, so I'm thinking again, is this another feud that they want to just finish here, and then we'll eventually see like just a random debut from either one of these guys on either one of these shows. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this match. Stupid gimmicks aside, Dijak can still go, obviously, and putting him there with somebody like Dragunov, I think Dragunov is going to work really well against somebody as big as Dijak.
Yeah, absolutely. The match sounds great. I don't understand why they decided to just go, yo, you're boss man now. You're just big boss man. Just do that character. And he's like, yeah, all right, cool. I guess that's what it is, but the match itself will be good. So I'll just be happy for that, I guess. We have a commercial for the press conference this Friday in Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny's going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there Friday.
Is that what you saw? Because I was watching the USA Network, like the website feed, and literally every other commercial was about Tiffany Stratton. It was like she literally was the face of NXT, and you just kept hearing Tiffany Stratton like over and over again. I'm like, wow, like they're really pushing her on, at least on the network feed, like the actual website feed.
Right. Yeah, I was watching a USA Network feed, TV feed, and every break was the. It's not bad because they're using the good, the bad, the ugly theme. It's like a Modelo or a car commercial or something. Course, I don't know, but they always use that theme. Sounds like Hangman's banger. We see Apollo Crews and Trick Williams. Trick is leaving. He's leaving NXT early, and so is Apollo Crews. And Apollo gives him some advice. He's like, yo, man, like, keep doing it. I see what you guys are doing. And you're not just a mouthpiece. You got that match with Braun. I believe in you. Keep busting your ass, and it's going to pay off just like it did for me because I'm drafted. And
yeah, like this is another case of them like really putting the spotlight on Trick and having somebody like Apollo who's been there for a while, obviously endorsing him. Yeah, they're definitely trying to do something with Trick. I don't know if it's like they want people to take him more seriously by having like talent like big him up or whatever the case is. But yeah, this is really interesting to have Apollo here on his last day. He showed up on his last day, unlike Grayson Waller and a couple of these other NXT people that didn't bother to show up on their last day to NXT.
Yeah, true. We didn't get a Grayson Waller like video. I love how he did the shoey when he was drafted.
Yeah, he had a blue shoe, so he did a bluey shoey. So I'm thinking, like, did he have a red
bluey
shoe just in case? A bluey shoey. I think who said that? Frank said that, a bluey shoey. But yeah, it made me think, like, did he have like one of each sneaker just in case he got on?
He did. Raw? Yeah, he did.
That's awesome.
I think he had a red one and a blue one just in case. Because apparently some of them looked legit where they didn't know.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh no, for sure. Like when they drafted Isla and Alba,
they were crying.
They were totally crying. Indy definitely felt like she like was caught off guard by it as well. Grayson had like a really like passionate like promo. When he got drafted, he's like really like pissed off, but like in a good like strong way. But yeah, we didn't see him. We didn't see Pretty Deadly. Obviously, they're just gonna forget that. Tony, we didn't have a follow up on that. We didn't have Tony D or Stacks on here.
Potentially murdered. Yeah.
And Fire Frank wants me to make sure I credit Dickie Bird. Of course, Dickie Bird is the one that made the term bluey shoey. So shout out to Dickie Bird. And congratulations to Dickie Bird as well for being a product.
Congratulations to our friend of the show, Dickie Bird, fan of the show, who just made his family a little bit bigger. First, he got a horse. Now he has a baby. Can't see, like, what a family.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. Shout out Dickie Bird. All the love to your family and the newborn baby. You should send. I think it's Dickie the reason the Leafs are doing so good, because when Dickie was here, I got him a Leafs jersey. Maybe that's the reason. You just give Australian friends Leafs jerseys and your teams will win. Yeah. We go to the main part of this show, I guess you can call it. Indy Hartwell is here in the middle of the ring, and Indy looks a little unwell because she is wearing a boot. She is injured, yes, from that match last week. She has the NXT Women's title and a microphone. She says that she's so happy to be here and so happy she's drafted. She's got a lot of emotions. She said she was a huge fan of NXT, and she was signed and got here when she was only 23. She starts bringing up the names like Bayley, Asuka, and legends she grew up watching. And she said a lot of people doubted me. She said, even when I got here, people doubted me. And, well, I doubted myself until I found the way. She mentions Johnny, Candace, Austin, even Sexy Dexy. They all helped me, and we formed a bond, and not just with them, but with all of you as well. And basically gets a little emotional here and says that I am drafted, I'm injured, So I have to give up the NXT Women's Championship. It is now vacated, but there will be a tournament in the next few weeks with the finals kind of leading up to Battleground. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. And as she goes to leave, she's like, I just don't know. The only question now is I don't know how I'm going to get out of this ring in this boot. When Dexter Lumis slides under the ring and just stares at her, giving her the thumbs up, he gets up and helps her out of the ring and then holds her, carries her out like we've seen before, leaving the NXT Women's title in the middle of the ring. And then when they leave, Tiffany Stratton comes out. She picks up the title, but then Cora Jade is there. The Bird Lady's there. There's all the NXT women's locker room clears out, and they're all fighting over the women's championship as NXT goes off the air.
Yeah, so a couple points to this. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the chat, but I don't think I saw Roxanne Perez in the ending sequence unless she was one of the ladies outside. Like, I did not see her, which is an interesting name to leave out of this tournament. They do start this without her. And then, like, it makes me think, like, would they have drafted Indy if she wasn't hurt? Like, you would think they wouldn't, right? Like, she just became champion. She's just starting her run there. Maybe they figured this is a good out for her. It's like, okay, we can drop the title for her this way. It's probably better than the idea that they had. Maybe have to drop it into Cora or Tiffany, just like, it's like a transitional champion. And they figured, okay, she's hurt. Let's draft her now. And, she'll, rehab. And then when she comes back, she'll be refreshed on a brand new show while they, put a champion on their show. So it makes me think that maybe it's a blessing in disguise that she got injured just as a way to call her up, faster than they were anticipating.
Yeah, it's possible that they're like, okay, well, we know we want to bring her up anyways. Let's just do that. Yeah, I maybe it did have a factor into it. I'm not really sure, but eventually I would like to see her pair with Candice in a way and stuff like that. At least to go off that. It definitely clicked before. It will click again. So
I mean, they're not doing anything else with Johnny, right? It's like you might as well put him with a popular faction that definitely can get people talking on Raw.
Yeah, poor Johnny. I mean, like, just hasn't been used the way we all thought. Well, some of us thought this would be the way that they would use him, but I still have hope. We need Andrade to come back. We need a rematch.
So the two people that they really focused on were Tiffany and Cora. Can you see that being the finals for this match at Battleground?
Really, before this segment, before all the women came out, I thought that we were going to go with Roxanne versus Cora Jade or something. I mean, Tiffany seems like the big one now. Like, she seems like the most ready outside of a Cora or a Roxanne. But I don't know. What do you think?
We got to see who's in this tournament. Maybe this mystery person that's been attacking everybody, that could be like a surprise in this tournament, and they could possibly win it.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I'd say Tiff has the most heat going in. Like you said, they play her promo every commercial. On
you know what I want to see? I want to see NXT do what AEW did. You know how, like, nobody knew about Roderick Strong and he just surprised everybody and showed up? I want to see somebody from AEW that we haven't seen for a while just randomly show up. It's a long shot, but imagine like a Chris Statlander just randomly shows up at NXT and she's like, whoa, because AEW doesn't tell you when people like get released or like, contracts end or whatever. I doubt it's going to happen to somebody to the level of Chris Statlander, but it'd be pretty cool to see somebody like jump ship from AEW to NXT that has a name behind them.
Well, it won't be her because she's gearing up for her return
of course,
right now, right?
Yeah. But like somebody like along the lines of that, like somebody who we haven't seen, like, a Mercedes Martinez, like I doubt she's want to come back, but who knows? That could be a name. Is
Statlander still doing the alien gimmick?
I think she like kind of like shed that. I want to say like she.
So I can steal it.
Yeah, you can steal. You want to be a Braillian?
All my Braillians out there. Shout out my Braillians. Yeah, I'm excited about the women's tournament. I do think it will go to Tiff because I don't see anyone else really having the juice. I don't really know what's going to happen to NXT after the next little while, because if you did pull 18 names off this show, a lot of the other people, it's like a good opportunity to stand up and step up. But a lot of people are not ready, as we see NXT, like you sink or swim, and it's on TV. Whether you sink or you swim, everyone sees it, and people don't forget. So
there's still like a lot of names. Like I'm looking right now at the Performance Center, people that haven't even debuted like on Level Up, let alone NXT. But somebody who's definitely stood out to me that's been on Level Up is Lola Vice. I know she's like a former
big
MMA
fan.
fighter. She's been teaming with like Elektra Lopez lately. Like it's a tag team. They have like Latina Heat. They call themselves.
Put the strap on her.
Yeah, I feel like she's somebody who could definitely be called up, or not called up, but somebody who could be moved up from Level Up to NXT pretty soon. But you're just looking right now, like a Luca Crucifino, he's definitely going to be on NXT. Like, you like got a sneak peek with him somehow a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure how you pulled that, but I could definitely see him being like a face. Miles Bourne is another name as well that's been on Level Up that we really haven't seen. There's definitely names that we haven't really seen on NXT proper that are just kind of in the Performance Center. And like I said earlier, they could possibly sign a bunch of indie guys that are just kind of like out there right now.
Yeah, I know you watch Level Up, and like you just named a lot of people. So you'd say Lola Vice is up next, kind of there.
Yeah, Lola Vice, Obafemi, Miles Bourne. Those are definitely. There's a guy named Kale Dixon who's been pretty good. He's been teaming up with Javi, a big body Javi. He's been definitely standing out as well. But yeah, those are definitely some of the names that I could see being. Obviously we have the room now with 18 people leaving, so I could definitely see the transition rather sooner than lately.
Yeah, one of the biggest like NXT hauls really in ever of how many talent and names went up. But that was NXT. What were some lowlights and highlights? Because I'll tell you, the highlight was that JD and Dragon Lee match. Holy man!
Yeah, that was definitely probably one of my top matches I'm going to see all week for sure. That stood out. I did like the opener. I wish they would have got a little bit more time between Wesley and Drew Gulak, but that match was definitely good. Axiom and Scrypts, we joke, but that match actually was pretty fun to watch.
It was.
Intrigued what they're going to do with the maskless Scrypts. Intrigued the whole Von Wagner situation happened. There's a lot of like interesting little things, but this is what happens, I guess, when 18 people get drafted. We kind of have to start these new stories going into the new season of NXT, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, I actually really like this episode. When you have short little matches that are pretty good, I'm usually happy. But when you do that and then have one that had time, that had story, that had some really good, some meat, if you will, in it, and I really stole the show for me. And then, of course, Duke Hudson possibly taking over Chase U. Brooks and Jensen are still together. They're not beefing anymore. Like, I'm just a happy camper watching this episode of NXT. So there was witches. I'm just happy. It was just a fun episode. We do have some feedback. I would advise people to check out the Poisonrana Facebook page. There's a page you can like, and then it takes you to the Facebook group. We'll let you in there, and we read your feedback and your comments and questions, and we will do that right now. But of course, as I had it loaded, it stopped.
I can start here. So
yeah,
we can start with Sean here. Says the opener between Wes and Gulak was a bit on the short side, but they did great work in the time they were given. Dragon Lee versus JD was fire. The women's tag title match was also excellent. Even Axiom versus Scrypts was great. A lot of intriguing storylines going on too. My guess is that since NXT is currently out of women's tag teams, that the NXT titles will eventually be unified with the main roster titles. So me and Sean are on the same page here. Tyler Bate entering the North American title picture creates all kinds of potential. Heel Braun continues to come together nicely. The Gigi Jacy match wasn't the best, but the story they're telling is a good one. Hopefully it gets the payoff it deserves, and we get a great debut from Danny Palmer. Tatum Paxley didn't look bad either. Plus, is HBK gonna make me like Von Wagner? Indy capped the night off with an emotional send-off promo and the announcement of a tournament to crown a new women's champion. Sign me up. Let the march towards Battleground begin.
All right. Thank you, Sean. And we go to Megan, who writes in, a lot of things are changing down in Florida. On one hand, I figured the women's tag titles would end up in some kind of chicanery.
Chicanery. Yeah, Muggin pulling out the vocabulary here on us. The chicanery.
Yeah, Megan, write like a normal person. He's like him or Jesse from the Six, always using words I've never heard of before.
You know what? He teaches me a new word every time, though, so I'm not gonna be too upset about mugging.
I'm just upset. I'm dumber than you, Megan. That's it.
I think he's doing that on purpose. He's like, what word can I trip Braden on this week?
Yeah, Jesse from the Six does that on our Patreon shows every time, and it's like he's doing it on purpose. Continuing with Megan, I'll try to read this, Megan. I'm sorry. He says, Chance, Carter, Fyre, and Dawn came through with a low-key banger of a send-off. My gut tells me that a unification is in the cards, and quite frankly, it's the right move. Okay, yeah, same. I got the same vibe. Dragon Lee versus Mick Don't Google Me stole this episode. It was takeover level, and Lee loses nothing as he segues into a program against Noam Dar over the Heritage Cup. I'm glad James and Jensen love story is over. Jensen matured quite a bit. Finally, the best save for last is Indie Wrestling got to close the book on her time in NXT in a moving farewell. Dexter showing up to carry her out brought the feels. And now open season as the women's title is vacated. As far as who done it, Mystery goes, I bet Blair Davenport is behind those attacks. She hasn't been seen in 8 months.
Yep.
So maybe whoever's the attacker is put in this tournament too.
I think so. And we end off with Mr. Fyre Frank, the reigning, 1,000 days as BDE champion. I feel like he's up there with like Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he's beat Roman. He's ahead of Roman. He's ahead of Hogan. He's not quite San Martino, but you know.
All right, so I got to make a cage match profile for Fyre Frank so we can keep track of all his wins and title reigns. But he says, is Davie okay, or did he get a visit from Stacks and Tony? Index forever. Shout out Booker T, always talking about sharks. Pour one out 18 times and also another 2 times for Dark and Dark Elevator, or I think you meant to say elevation. And one more for Scrypts' mask. Yeah, we have to pour out for all these things we're losing.
We're pouring out a lot.
Yeah.
Here, guys.
See you next week. Yes, Frank. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone writing in and everyone listening, everyone in the YouTube chat as well here on the Post Wrestling feed. And you, Mr. Siino Evil, thank you for jumping on. You're always here to hold the fort down. Always appreciate you and love listening to all the shows that you've been doing over on the Poisonrana feed and all the work you've been doing on the Post Wrestling website, because anyone can write results and talk about results, but you definitely know how to give it with a good little spin and recommendations and stuff like that. So I tip my hat to you, good sir, and I love to see you killing it in all those types of forms and stuff. And you kind of mentioned you're doing stuff with Cage Match as well now.
Yeah, so
I don't know what that
literally,
is.
Literally, as I watch these shows, I'll just update the results. And so whenever you see the match times that we're reading, I'm probably the one putting those in there. But yeah,
amazing.
I've been helping them out for years, so I figured why not help them out a little bit more as much as I can. I'm a man of many hats, I guess you could say. Some people think I only wear hats, but today I'm actually not wearing one, ironically.
There you go.
But yeah, Shine the Dark. I'm actually, even though Dark is gone, I'm still talking about all these other shows. Impact Wrestling, Trinity just debuted there, the former Naomi, so I'm sure she'll be having a hell of a run there. Ring of Honor, Gringo Loco's been tearing it up with the Kingo and Blake Christian this week, so he's kind of having a nice little run in Ring of Honor. MOW, that's a thing. Talking about that as well. Women of Wrestling, obviously, NWA. Level Up, we're talking about all the future stars. Main Event, where random NXT people like to wrestle, like Cora Jade and Joe Gacy were there last week. And whatever happens with AEW, if they come out with another show, I'll be talking about it. And if any recommendations, if you guys want something covered that you don't hear anybody else talking about, shoot me a message. I'll be sure to watch it.
Absolutely. You're the wrestling sponge. You're a completist. Like, I don't think anyone has watched every little thing as much as you have. As much as people are like, oh, I watch Raw every week. I watch Dynamite every week. I watch SmackDown every week. Yeah, well, do you watch Level Up? Do you know what happened on this? Like, you know everything. So hats off to you, good sir. And thank you for joining me on here as always. And I know we'll be doing podcasts. I know you just did a What Up Doe with B over on our free feed on Poisonrana, and that's an awesome show. So can't wait for next month's already. That's become my favorite. But let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm at Siino Evil on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the same handle, CNOEVIL. And if you guys have any recommendations for any virtual reality stuff, I'm just learning this stuff. That's my same name on there as well. So definitely find me on there, and we can go to virtual reality together. I'm watch some wrestling. Watch Backlash. Let me know where I can watch Backlash this Saturday on the VR.
Yeah. Before we go, predictions for Backlash here. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest in a San Juan street fight.
Yeah, I think Bad Bunny has to win. I feel like we're going to get everybody involved, the entire LWO, the entire Judgment Day. I'm really intrigued with this Rhea Ripley, Zelina Vega match because, everybody's saying Zelina has no chance, but Rhea's on Raw with the SmackDown Women's title, and Zelina's on SmackDown. So it makes sense to put the title on Zelina, but is it going to happen? If you're going to do it anywhere, it's got to be Puerto Rico. That pop, if Zelina wins, even if it's like a one-day reign and she, drops it, whatever, in the next episode of SmackDown. But, that would be pretty cool. I can honestly see that happening, but is it going to happen? Probably not. Cody and Brock, I think Cody has to win. But yeah, the card's definitely shaping up. Is oh my God, Bianca Belair and Io Sky, that match is insane.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's the one I'm waiting for the most. Obviously, I am intrigued by Cody and Brock. First time ever matches, it's always exciting. But Bianca and Io, Io finally having a pay-per-view match on her own title match. I don't expect her to win, but I expect her to show up. So I always say Io, it doesn't quite sound the same, but I'll say it for these kids who never knew. Io Sky gets me high, and I can't wait for that match. I see Bianca beating her, though.
Yeah, I'm just excited for this crowd. Like in Puerto Rico, I'm sure they're gonna be wild and crazy. Put the chanclas in the air, like for Ray or something. I'm sure they're gonna do something like that. But I'm definitely excited for this show. Any time they're like in a different, whether it be in London, maybe not Saudi Arabia, but when they're outside of the normal U.S., do it more.
Yeah.
Have a show in Arena Mexico. Have a show in the Tokyo Dome. Like be the world wrestling entertainment that you name yourself. Go out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you we're going to be reviewing the last time WWE was in Puerto Rico, which was 2005, and like the crowd are crazy. The card was terrible. There's 2 injuries on the show. The card Maven's in a match. Like the pay-per-view. I mean, you get to hear his theme, but the network dubs it, so it's not even worth that. But like the crowd just eat it up because it's like, wow, it's wrestling here, and we never had that. But now it's going to be in a stadium. It's going to be even crazier and bigger. So yeah, I am pretty hyped for the show, and I just love Bad Bunny. Dude's killing it. He's with the Kardashian. He's at the Met Gala. He's like #1 on everything, and yet here he is wrestling. It's like,
you would
what?
think he has to perform, right? Is he going to perform himself to the ring? He has to do something, right?
That's the craziest steez ever. If this guy comes out performing himself to the ring, like that's nuts. If he pulls that off, that would be some badass stuff. So yeah, I'm really hyped for that. This show coming up. It's got some matches, and just it seems like it'll be a lot of fun and a good vibe to watch. But yeah, Backlash this Saturday. Me and Davie will be back on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. live on the Poisonrana feed on the YouTube. Audio up later there. We will be covering Backlash, giving our thoughts and everything else going on in the world of wrestling. So go follow Poisonrana. Again, Poisonrana.ca for all the links there. And Rowena Dynamite for the big announcement with Post Wrestling and Poisonrana. Can't wait to tell you guys. You don't even know what's coming. You don't. I myself, Brain Herrington. I'm on Twitter, Instagram at the Brady. Follow Poisonrana on Twitter, Instagram at PoisonRanaPod. That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And go Leafs. Go. Ahoy.